Welcome back. We've just seen history go down here at JBay, the first perfect heat we've witnessed at this event. Jordy Smith becomes the 10th surfer in the sport's history to have a perfect heat. What a performance. And he already had Leonardo Fioravanti comboed, Pete, but he can't help himself. Such a showman.
No, absolutely. He's loves it. I mean, we remember his win at the Rip Pro Bells Beach. He was ringing the bell before he actually got to the beach. I mean, that's the showman he is.
Big float on the end section to finish this amazing heat off. And a move that can be high risk, but he knew that history was on the cards. We're going to throw it down to Strider for the post-heat interview.
Jordy, your first perfect heat, my man, at JBay in front of the home crowd. How does it feel?
Absolutely phenomenal. Just to be here at JBay. Waves are firing and just have that opportunity. My first two heats were really slow, and then just to get blessed with that was just absolutely amazing.
Well, you're on fire. You've been obviously a pick for everybody's win here, and to elevate, it seems like you're just getting started. There's more in the tank.
Yeah, I mean, there's more waves on offer, so I definitely hope there's more in the tank. But you go out there, you give everything you've got, you know. There's nothing to take away from Leo. He's an absolute amazing surfer, especially on the rail. He's going to get amazing waves out here, and I just have to try to do my best surfing like I try every heat. So this one I was just fortunate enough to get the bomb.
When you were coming out of the tube, Leo had to watch you come out of the barrel. Did you give him a wink or anything at the end?
No, I couldn't believe it. I made myself, to be honest. He went that first wave, and he had to go. I mean, the wave was so perfect. Every single wave out there is so perfect. So yeah, the one behind there, I was just really fortunate to get that barrel section and just opened up and let my big rig go through it.
Well, you're in that elite club now, the Perfect 20 club. How's it feel?
Absolutely amazing. Never in my wildest dreams would have ever thought to be in that club, and to be in it right here at JBay is just extra special.
Well, let's hear it for Jordy Smith, everybody.
Thank you, Strider. Jordy Smith through to the 4th round. And we've seen a lot of near perfect heats here before, Pete, but this is the first time at Jeffreys Bay we've had a perfect 20. Jordy Smith getting the job done.
We even had a perfect 30. You know, interesting, 96. It was a 3-wave total, and Shane Beshin put up 3 10s. Matter of fact, he could have almost 4 in that heat. It was perfect Kira.
I witnessed that with my own eyeballs.
And you're a youthful young lad, weren't you?
Yep, collecting autographs on the beach that day. But amazing stuff from Jordy Smith here, and we're getting set for yet another excellent exchange between two surfers that I think could lay down some big numbers of their own. Jeremy Flores is about to take on Julian Wilson. Julian, a finalist here, just back in 2015.
Well, just a semi-finalist even last year too, right? I mean, so this guy has some great results and loves this type of wave.
Jeremy, on the other hand, chasing his best finish in this contest. Hasn't been past the 5th round here in this event just yet. So a bit of movement just during that break. We'll get you some replays in just a moment. But our competitors at this stage way down the line.
Well, they had started way up the line. I mean, they literally at the top of the point here. The first wave going to Jeremy Flores in his exchange here. But again, he's been able to mix it up as well. I mean, he's got himself several different style of carves, and this wave will have to showcase that. Again, there, 3 different maneuvers: the barrel, the snap, the layback, and then there, the cutback. So again, sets up the inside. This one, hugging the point. This is the kind of wave you want to have to start off your heat. Look at that, just holding the rail throughout the entire maneuver, and then a snapping maneuver, trying to find the barrel through this impossible section. He sees it's going to happen at some point, and that's that forecasting and looking for it a little bit too much, maybe, because you feel like it's going to happen in there, and you got to go for it. But it's deception. It's deceiving to see. Now we've got Julian Wilson on his first wave. He had just a 1.5 to get him a throwaway. This is the first one where he's down far enough down the point to pick up a nice big wall. But look at this section. Cannot help yourself but pull in, enjoy the view, straight offshore conditions, and they're mixing it up. So again, all these surfers understanding what is needed in order to thrill the judges up in the tower. It's a healthy mix of rail work, barrels, snaps, anything you can do that's a little bit different on the entire wave is going to score high.
Julian looking solid on his feet through that ride. Had a a lot of racing to do to find that section on the inside that's slowed up enough to allow some bigger drawn-out turns, that nice barrel ride. Sitting in 8th position, the 28-year-old from the Sunshine Coast of Queensland. Definitely think that he's got the artillery to claim a huge result here.
Well, I think that, you know, when we talk about JBay, we talk about Mick, we talk about Kelly, we talk about Jordy, but I really truly feel that Julian's style of surfing fits this wave very, very well. He carries a lot of speed through his carves. He's able to link maneuvers so beautifully. He can start away from the very beginning with big moves and finish with big moves, and he's had great results here before. I'd say that he is one of those favorites that kind of sits outside of that top 4 between Parko, Mick, Joel, and Jordy.
Well, Julian too, he's had some pretty tough results this year, some close heats he's lost out in. That one with Sebastian Zietz at Winky sticks out to me. And I'm sure you'll agree with me, Pete, but Julian's just seemed to wash off those early round losses better than ever before. There hasn't been that kind of that salty vibe that he's carried in the past with those early round losses. He seems really happy. Obviously got married at the start of the year, so I don't know, just life seems really like it's in a good place for Julian.
Being grateful for where you're at in life. He does that even with those losses, understanding that I'm leading a life traveling the world, surfing perfect waves, getting paid to do it with a beautiful wife under my arm. I mean, what else? You got to be grateful for that kind of stuff. You know, it does sting when it hurts, but you look at it and you go, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I do better going forward? Let it go, and then start right back into that next event. Not salty vibes, because it just takes energy. You know, it takes energy away from you. No one wants to be around you. But if you're cool and happy and go lucky and you take those things in stride, everyone's like, you know what? I want some of that. And they'll cling on to you.
I guess we're always salty, but yeah.
Yes. Well, in the term of being salty, being sometimes it's a bitter taste, right? Salt is kind of that makes you have that certain face.
An 8.27 for Julian on his second ride. A good exchange. Jeremy Flores also banking an 8. Maybe, Julian's hole-in-one down at Cape St. Francis Links was just a bit of a turning point in his year, away from competition, and it sparked a good vibe.
We know how important that. I mean, he takes that very seriously as well. I mean, when he does spend his time on that golf course, he takes it. He learns that good swing. I mean, he's got one of the best swings on tour. It really is very perfect, similar to his style of surfing. I mean, he has technically sound. He is more technically sound than most anyone on tour, in my opinion.
Let's talk about Jeremy Flores a little bit, because we've seen Jeremy higher on the ratings before. He's currently sitting back in 17th position, but I don't know if I've ever seen him surfing better. He just looks so sharp this year. I think, the results didn't go his way in the very first heat that he surfed this year. He had a heat with Fanning in the first round. I can remember that, and Mick just edged ahead of him, and I think even Mick thought in retrospect that Jeremy won that heat. So it just can throw you into a bit of a spin, an upset result like that.
But it's not for Jeremy, and generally we think that it would, and it hasn't now. He's learned that doesn't do any good. Very similar to what we saw from Julian. Jeremy's done the same thing. It's like being grateful for where you're at in your life. He's got a high heat average. He's doing well with that. He's surfing good. He knows that. His boards are good under his feet. It'll come if you can just let those stuff go a little bit. It's because I think that it'll spiral the opposite direction if you hold on to it.
Well, Jeremy, in 7 attempts here at Jeffreys Bay, has only made it past the third round once. That was back in 2008. So it has been a tough contest for him. But he's in a good position at the moment. A heat win in the first round. Solid heat score totals. Julian Wilson did fight his way through the second round, but a good start to this one. A really close exchange.
It's pretty even, Steven. I mean, the separation, 0.27. Right now, Julian has that first priority. So again, we've seen, does the first priority, when you've already got the kind of even part of the heat, is it an advantage or a disadvantage? Because there is the opportunity of looking at a wave and going, wow, this is going to be a perfect one. And you really have no idea what wave number 2 is going to bring. Maybe it's bigger, but generally we've seen that the bigger ones aren't always the best ones. So it's a tough decision to make that call with priority when a set comes.
Bit of a break in the set wave action. 23.5 minutes to go. Julian just out in front. in that last heat. Leonardo Fioravanti, a good performance, but on the wrong side of history. We'll check in with Leo with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Leo, you can be incredibly proud of yourself. You surfed so well in that heat, but unfortunately coming up against a force like Jordy Smith, I mean, what do you think you could have done differently?
Well, I know, I mean, the waves are perfect and it was a great heat. And before going out, I told myself 2.8 isn't going to cut it, and I had 16-point total, so it wasn't enough. But, you know, it was kind of like every time we had an exchange, he always had a better exchange. And then when I had my 8.5, I felt like I surfed it as good as I could. And I turned around and he's just sitting in the barrel. So it's kind of like things where you're looking back and, oh, I should have gone on the second one. But, I mean, you can't just let go an 8.5. You know, I went on an 8.5. And before, I mean, I told myself, you know, I'm going to go out. It's Jordy Smith. He's the best in the world out there. So I'm going to go out, surf my heat, surf the best that I can. And if I win, you know, I'll be stoked. If not, if he just surfs better, then good on him. And I mean, he got two 10s. That's history right there.
And you know, Strada was on the beach, and he just mentioned that when you walked by, the crowd was just so appreciative of what you've been doing out there. Do you feel that vibe and that energy?
Yeah, I did feel that vibe. It was really cool. All the crowd cheering, you know, cheering not only for Jordy but for me as well. And it's such an incredible place. Everybody's so nice, and I think we're just lucky to be able to have Jeffreys Bay 10 out of 10. I mean, it was probably the best waves I've surfed. I said yesterday that it was the best heat I've ever surfed, and today it was again the best heat I've ever surfed. So I'm just stoked to be part of it.
And I know that you did a trip to Tahiti earlier in this year. We got that event coming up. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be one of the best events ever. I was there 2 weeks ago, and for a swell at Chopu, and I mean, I love the wave so much, and I can't wait to go over there before the event and start getting barrels, and again, just sit in barrels the whole way, just like Fiji.
Keep frothing, Leo. We can't wait to see what you do in Tahiti. Well done.
Thank you, Rosie. Leo taking it on the chin. Very happy with his surfing. He should be. Another solid heat score total. A couple of 16-point heat score totals, and guaranteed by the end of this third round that there would have been heats that he would have won. He just came up against Jordy Smith, unfortunately.
Yeah, just you remember the beginning of the season, had a bit of a slow start, and he's really turned it around and now putting in great performances even in his losses. I love the fact that he's kind of taking a page out of Adriano de Souza's book and getting and going to venues and spending time at tour venues and putting in that extra effort and training, because it is important. You know, got to be comfortable at all of the spots on tour, anticipating the fact that, hey, there's a swell in Tahiti, I've got some time to go do it, let's go. Gets on a plane, goes and trains, probably could leave his quiver there too, so doesn't have to worry about that. He can try a few extra boards, but again, he can hold his head high. Great performance by him.
So 20.5 minutes to go in Heat 9. Big heats coming your way to finish off this third round. Really looking forward to the next matchup. I think it's on paper one of the best head-to-head clashes that I've ever seen here at Jeffreys Bay. I hope the waves keep coming, but right now we've got priority with Julian Wilson. He's going to take this first wave.
We'll see what happens, because he did take the first wave and there is another one behind it.
Little arc off the top to get started, digging in a little harder on that second move, pacing himself. So 3 decent turns already, and the best of the wave yet to come as he draws hard through that last hack. Sets up a barrel on the inside, super deep. He's not going to find the exit. 19.5 minutes to go outside. Jeremy Flores is taking off very deep at the moment, but he will get back out onto this green wall. So chasing it for some time before letting go of that first turn. Now driving up into the lip. A really smooth hit, generating a lot of speed through that maneuver. The wave flattens out for a moment before unloading here on the inside section. So Jeremy just goes through some little S-bends. A bit of foam on the face, but does well to let go of a pretty quality turn there before kicking out on the inside. 19 minutes to go.
Well, that was a substantially bigger wave. Hard to tell watching the screen, but if you were watching live, you'd realize that was substantially bigger than Julian's wave. Does it translate into a bigger score? We will see. But Julian surfed really well, but didn't complete at the end. He pulled into the closeout, didn't get the finish. So, you know, does that factor in? Again, loving the angle of this wave, so it was really hard for him not to take it and paddle over the top of it because he knows that this one's going to build and stay right on the reef. There's a nice arc. Again, carrying a lot of speed through the maneuver. In today, you'd say that, you want to see guys kind of draw their lines out, but he has the ability to draw those lines out, but carry a lot more speed. And then this was unfortunate because that section there, you really could have seen him finish that ride. We would say we'd probably see another 8. But again, a substantially bigger wave. Had to wait to get started on it, but some beautiful arcs on that outside section. That was a tough one because that flat spot came up through, but this section here, beautiful arc. I mean, that's money. Back to this inside, he was just, at this point, he's like going, okay, please, barrel for me. But it ran into frothy water, so it wasn't going to hit that section. Still fairly high tide right now, but he does well in the potholes. He was able to turn through it fairly well, and he'll execute some points here at the end of it. So another pretty good even exchange, but I feel like it's going to be edged towards Jeremy.
When you get those lumps and bumps, you can't overdo it. You've got to nurse the turn to a point. And Jeremy, I think he committed as much as he could to that final maneuver under the circumstances. Waiting on the numbers to come through. Julian had 3 solid hacks in a row, but a little repetitious. We're waiting on the numbers to come through. I think there'll still be some credit for the commitment to those moves.
Well, a lot of it was done on the outside, and you remember that Jeremy had to chase on the outside, and those bigger set waves, unfortunately, they're a little flatter. But there was one money turn in there. Judges disagreeing with me, feeling like they're going to give the edge to Julian. But again, very close.
So 16 and a half minutes to go. The numbers are in. A very close exchange. 7.3 for Julian Wilson. 6.5 for Jeremy Flores.
So that was a good choice by Julian. He made that first move. He went for it. Tough to do, to be able to leave the outside set to your competitor. But he executed, got himself a 7.3, and is inched away.
There was just a different approach in how to attack those walls too. Julian, at the start of his ride, he was riding high, taking that high line, which a lot of the best JBay surfers tend to do out here. Jeremy was sort of chasing his way from the bottom and definitely let go of a super critical, beautiful, crisp turn in that ride. But I like the speed that was generated from Wilson.
And that's what it is, right? So if you take that high line at JBay, you can carry a ton of speed because you're actually building speed on the top, and then you're just going down that first, like a roller coaster, that first big hill. It loads you up, and he is one of the best at holding his speed throughout the entire ride. Once you get up to speed, he stays at that high speed all through his maneuvers, and that's what is a little point of difference for him. He's able to carry the speed throughout the entire ride.
It also allows the surfers, when they reach those flatter sections, if they've ridden a high line before they get to that flat section, they're still able to do a major turn, and you'll see it here. Julian, watch how high he rides through this section.
And that's it, where you carry a ton of speed and then loads up through this carve and still flying down the line, which he needs to do at JBay. Of course, that wave's going to feel like it's going to take off in front of you. He was able to redirect, and then that arc there was beautiful. So 4 solid turns, and then goes into this closeout section.
Here we go, live action. Julian out the back once again. Jeremy's there too. Has a look at this section. Ducks under that curtain. Drives out onto the open face now. Draws that turn out. Up into the pocket of the wave once again. Big speed carves are off the top. Wilson looking for a steeper wall so he can start to mix things up. Sets up the tube on the inside though, and punches through the curtain as the wave tries to clamp on him. This wave's holding open now though, and he goes into the second section, still rolling through this one. The hands go up. He's giving himself a 10-point ride. Mum
That's
likes
right.
it. Older brother Bart on hand too.
He looks
They
good in
are
purple.
celebrating.
As Potts turns around and throws up a 10-figure claim as well. No, I was going to say, Bart, he looked good in purple, right? Good point of difference.
I missed it completely. Just over 13 and a half minutes to go here. And that was one of those waves, again, like Geordie had, where there was no indecision about where he was going to go. He didn't have to think, am I going to go for turns? Am I going to stall for the barrel? The thing just threw open. it was presenting, and he just drove straight into it.
Well, could it be another 10? That would be hard to deny. I mean, you look at the size of this wave, too. We'll look at the size. I mean, way out on top of the point. He took off very deep. He made sure that he was going to take off on this outside section. Beautiful arc here. Look at this. Big canvas. Just arcs it all the way through. Again, carrying a ton of speed throughout the entire maneuver. And then he sets up this inside section going, okay, wait. I will pull right in. The second barrel section, though, is money. Look at that. Just a little check fade into it. And then 3 double into that double section. And, of course, comes out. And that's it. Give me 10. That's what I want. Well,
let's have a look at it from here, Pete. From the water, it's going to look insane.
well, and that's that first section. So well timed to be able to load it up. Then the check fade to get into the second section. This is the double section where he disappears almost, and he rides the foam ball. Again, when you know you're riding the foam ball and you come out, that's when you know that it's a deep barrel. Again, this is where his timing is impeccable. He sets it up, just loads up off the bottom. He wasn't projecting off the bottom. He's actually sloughing speed off the bottom because he wants to pull into that. And then again, goes through, and then that second section, he had to do a little pump up to it. That's where the forehand, having the forehand advantage in the barrel.
Well, he has a career in judging, Julian Wilson.
It does, huh?
Because he got the score right. It is a 10-point ride, our third for the day. It looks like he might have busted his board.
Where?
Or he's looking for an equipment change of some sort.
Didn't he make it out of that last section? I mean, maybe it happened on the closeout.
Maybe when he bailed in front of that wave.
Oh,
but
that's right.
He's coming in for a board change. He's amassed a heat score of 18.27 already, and there's still 11 and a half minutes to go. So much like the last heat, with so much time on the clock.
Catching the purple jacket now?
You just never know. We might see another perfect heat.
We could. You're right.
That's his older,
Let's throw some anticipation out there.
That's his older brother, Bart. And he is making his way down to the keyhole there to meet Julian, and Strider is in hot pursuit.
Okay, good. Yeah, we're just up the beach from it, watching him do the run in, and he's switched out the board. He's going to do a run by. He's going to probably run to the top of the point with him like they did earlier.
Come on, Strider, keep up with him.
No, we're not going to do the run. No, it's not going to happen. Here we go. Definitely Bart's going to do the run all the way with him. No, he's got his backup leash. We'll go check out the board. Very intent, the face there, but we'll take a look at the board and see what happened to it.
Ripping his leg rope off. I like that. Julian said to Bart, turn around. You got to run up the point with me.
We got the board. It's a full buckle.
Proper buckle on that board.
So he's definitely got a good solid buckle there. Must have happened just as he kicked out of the wave. But you can definitely see a good solid buckle there. These are high performance boards. It's probably only 4 ounces of glass on the bottom, keeping them as light as possible. But the force out there, the waves, everything that's happening, it's not a surprise. We haven't seen more of these buckles, but well, there's plenty more to come.
Made for a good time, not for a long time. And that board has served its purpose, a 10-point ride. And that's put Julian in a commanding position now. Jeremy Flores chasing a 2-wave total of 18.28. And I guess it's a glorious situation to be in with 10 minutes remaining too, Pete, because he's going to get out there. He's not going to look at anything that's less than an 8.27. And, well, much like the last heat, with the waves the way they are at the moment, and looking for more than an 8.27,
very
a
conceivable.
perfect heat could be on the cards.
Very, very conceivable. And I mean, that was a nice size, solid wave. And to get that barrel on the inside really solidified those 2 big carbs on the outside section. But look at the shift here. I mean, this is a totally different style of surfboard. That other one, a rounded pintail. This one into a squash tail. So see how it feels to him. I mean, on a bigger set wave, those round tails are going to allow him to do this type of surfing. The big round arcs, very positive. You can push harder on those boards. Beautiful 2-turn combo there on a big wave, and then sets up this and goes, you know what? I know there's going to be a little tube in here. There's that slough. That bottom turn really was more about just setting up the barrel. And again, check fade. Little slight adjustments like that. Set it up for the perfectly timed barrel, and it's so important to be able to read that. Double section comes out. Gotta love it. Bit of a showman himself.
Awesome, and you can see the urgency in getting back out there, because even with that really strong lead and having his rival combo. With the waves the way they are at the moment, you can't take any chances. You know, still over 10 minutes remaining when he kicked out of that ride. Complacency, he was never going to go there.
It's always interesting.
Had to be very careful.
To me, in watching Julian, like he'll use limited wetsuit. I mean, a lot of times he's wearing short sleeve full suits out there, which you get to deal with a little chill. You know, I know that there's a lot of energy exerted, but he is definitely looking for mobility and paddling power, which is smart because you're not getting that jet ski assist here. So trying to take off some of that rubber to take away the fatigue that comes from paddling hard like you are. He's probably wearing a 2 mil with, you know, the short sleeves. Again, just giving himself that ability to really paddle hard.
Just over 7.5 minutes remaining in this heat. This event has been blessed with some magic days over the years. Sean Thompson, where does this round fit in to that history?
Well, I'd say this day has to rank as one of the greatest. I mean, for South African world title contender Jordy Smith to have a perfect heat, every single person that's on the beach here today is going to remember that forever. 2 10s, I mean, it's so rare. There've only been 10 in WSL history, so special heat, and it's just been a special day. I think at the beginning of the day I said there's going to be 4 10-point rides dropped, 2 in 1 heat. I didn't think that was going to happen. So we've already got 3 10-point rides on the board, and I think we've got a lot more to come.
Hey, Sean, you know, in South African history, I mean, as a country as a whole, I know there's been support of surfing, but it seems right now, like I was watching the local news, they were actually having full-on surfing on the news, which is pretty rare. According to Martin Potter, who's lived and grew up here, it doesn't happen very often, and it seems to be happening now.
No, there's a lot of support for South African surfing. I think when you have an athlete doing as well as Jordy Smith has done, and then you have young guys bubbling up like Michael February, Dale Staples, it certainly creates this energy and excitement throughout the population and throughout the media.
And obviously a big wave world champion too in Grant Twiggy Baker. But at the moment, Jeremy Flores is trying to fight his way out of combination. He needs an 8.28 to do that. And that wave's going to shut down on the inside. Jeremy clearly frustrated. He wants to get one of those magic waves of his own.
Well, he's probably riding very similar equipment to what Julian is riding. Same shaper with JS Industries, Jason Stevenson, with a rounded pintail. I mean, one of the things that Jeremy has done is honed in his equipment under his feet, and it's really improved his surfing throughout the entire season.
Jeremy knows that feeling of a perfect heat, and he might need one right now.
Well, with 5:40 to go, you would have hoped that wave there would have been, you know, the score to at least get him out of combo where he's, you know, if it had been close to a 9 or a 9, he would have got his chances a lot easier. We take a look on this outside section. Nice size set. This heat has been pumping the surf. I love that layback to bring the arm forward. Again, trying to show points of difference and doing different rotations with the upper body. Jeremy, one of the best at his technique in using that upper body to carve through his maneuvers. Beautiful there. That was just full arc when you see he's pointing his nose straight up and arcing through the entire maneuver. Anytime you can hold the rail for the longest amount of time possible and have the maneuver be functional and carry speed throughout it. I mean, here again, look, as he eyes it up, goes up, and this is going to be a carve, but he tries to get his board as vertical as possible before the maneuver. But see the technique there where he has the arm back and then brings it all the way forward through the maneuver. I mean, it's using G-forces. It's hard to do, to actually have your body when you're laid out like that, to bring that front arm and not have it look functional, or have it look functional, which is what he's done. I mean, there's one turn here. I love the arc. I think it's the turn after this. But you can see, how's the anticipation, eyeing up the section. I mean, keeping your eyes on the wall in front of you, absolutely important to execute those maneuvers in the right space and carrying the speed. Best in the world. They know how to do it.
Every time someone has a magic heat, generally speaking, that their rival is pushing them. And Jeremy Flores, you know, he pushed Julian on the opening exchange. It was an 8 to an 8.27 from Wilson. And his last wave came through to 7.3, and it was really only the quality of the wave that held him back, or the lack of quality in the wave that held him back. It didn't really connect through to the inside, so the surfing's there, the performance levels are high, but just wave selection letting him down a little bit.
Well, I mean, and to be honest, I mean, how do you know what that inside section is going to do? It's, I mean, nearly impossible.
Well, that's
when
right.
when you take off, right? I mean, nearly impossible to know what's going to happen on the inside section.
And when you comboed, you have to go. You just can't wait around.
There's a clock, right?
And turn it with a single ride, obviously.
Yeah, you know, there's a clock that's ticking away, and you know it. And there's going to be moments like this where there's no waves. There's no scoring opportunity whatsoever.
Well, I'm sure Jeremy would love a shot at riding a quality set wave from top to bottom for us, working this crowd himself. But Julian Wilson has definitely got a chance at getting rid of that 8.27. So bring on the swell lines. Looking forward to getting into that fourth round. Of course, we'll be on the lookout for quarterfinalists once we move back into those three-man heats. We're definitely going to have a goofy footer in the quarters.
Plenty of waves. I mean, sometimes you feel like when we go into those heats where you go back to three-man, you need another whole percentage of waves to be coming in. But for overall, I mean, every heat's been pretty consistent. I mean, think about the first exchange of the morning. It really set the tone for the entire day.
So just under 2 minutes remaining now. Julian has priority. He's going to win this heat. The question is by how much? The combination for Jeremy Flores at this stage, 18.28.
You wonder if we can actually see Julian be able to ride this board here in this, because the one he was riding looked pretty darn good.
That's a really good point, just to get a feel for this board before that fourth round kicks off.
Because there will be no, I mean, you could practice probably up at Boneyards or down, but it really isn't the true JBay sections. I mean, you can get kind of an understanding, but you really don't know until you're actually riding these walls, because you carry a lot more speed through the Super Tube section, through the car park section, all of that, more so than you do up at Boneyards or even down the point.
I mean, they've all got faith in their first and second choice equipment, but there is a little mental hurdle to overcome there as Julian takes off on a medium-sized ride, just looking to feel out this piece of equipment. 40 seconds to go. A wave this size, it's unlikely this ride will go into his top two. But he is looking tack sharp. It's a bit of a leg burner after the run around. And he can really just enjoy his time between rounds. A well-earned victory, a 10-point ride, and 8.27 will be his top scoring rides. 15 seconds remaining here. Julian Wilson is on his way to the fourth round. What a heat that's going to be too. Heat 3 of round 4. Jordy Smith, Felipe Toledo, and Julian Wilson.
Wow.
Super heat.
I mean, those were all event contenders by a long shot.
Another high-scoring heat. Julian Wilson is victorious. Jeremy Flores out of the contest. Coming up next, Joel Parkinson and Connor Coppin will bring in Joe Topel and Martin Potter to keep the conversation rolling.
just that moment of when you get to your feet and you're like, holy crap, I'm on one of the best point breaks in the world and I'm on a 5-foot wall that looks like it's going to go for 1,000,000 miles. The excitement of it, the nervousness of it is probably the best feeling.
Joel Parkinson can't help but just smile when he sets his sights on Jeffreys Bay, a place where he found a victory back as a wild card when he was 18 years of age. Back in 1999, he quickly became one of the greats ever on this amazing racetrack. Joe Tupel alongside former world champ Martin Potter. Potter, we're coming off a series of 10s, creating history with Jordy Smith, 2 10s in his matchup. Julian just got past the torch. Maybe it's Parko and Connor's turn now.
Well, Sean Thompson predicted 4 10-point rides today, so 3 in the bag already, and we've still got plenty of time to go. So Sean Thompson is a bit of a professor when it comes to Jeffreys Bay, and he knows exactly what he's talking about. Incredible heat from Jordy Smith, incredible heat from Julian Wilson, and we've got 2 amazing surfers out in the water at the moment.
We see just everything coming together, tide bottoming out, and you see that funnel section over the sand. Jordy capitalizing on 2 brilliant 10s. A perfect heat at Jeffreys Bay is a massive statement. Kind of makes sense that it went to Jordy, a 2-time champ. You can see Connor already getting picked up way down the line. Remember, the skis are only in play if you make it past impossibles. During the break, we'll get caught up with Joel Parkinson here.
Yeah, Joel up and riding, wasting no time, which you kind of got to do. I mean, he would have been sitting back watching those last 2 heats unfold, and talk about nervous moments. Talk about that energy rush and just that excitement, the adrenaline pumping through his body. Now he's got to control all of that and put it out on the wave and do it in his own fashion, which one of the best at it out here at Jeffreys Bay, and you can see why. Just those beautiful, clean, arcing maneuvers. This wave goes a little sleepy through the inside, and Joel starting to lose a little bit of interest. Looks over his shoulder. Am I going to continue with this? And yes, he does. So really brings it all the way through the inside. So Joel Parkinson opens up his first wave, and right behind him, Connor, who has absolutely been on a tear as well, put Jordy Smith into round number 2, winning his first round. So he's been sitting back as well. This kind of wave really does suit Connor's style of surfing. Powerful, stylish, real nuggety sort of guy, and he'll tell you what, he's going to be loving the opportunity right now to test his skills, test his drive up against someone like Joel Parkinson. And with turns like that, he is going to drop a big score to kick things off. He's not done yet. Connor Coffin loves this kind of wave, growing up in California. Rincon being one of the waves that he's fine-tuned his skills, and he's looking pretty sharp, Joe.
What an amazing ride for Connor Coffin. The wave that just kept on giving. It was just relentless, top to bottom surfing with a lot of power. What a start against Joel Parkinson. Sean Thompson, what kind of number are we going to see from that wave?
Wow, what a wave that was. I thought we were going to see our first carving 10. Generally, it's the tube that gets you the 10, but that was some of the most sublime, insane carving that I've seen out of JBay. I mean, he was throwing down such variety, those mid-face hacks that he was doing. It was just great to see. And I surf with Connor at Rincon often, and he's a fabulous surfer. I think I met him when he was about 8 years old, and he's always had that beautiful style and that beautiful rhythmic flow, very much influenced by Tom Curran. But the power that he's laying down, you know, he's a small bloke, big thighs though, and the power that he's laying down there is sort of the right there with the equivalent of the power that Jordy Smith lays down.
Sean, your prediction this morning was 4 10-point rides today. We've already got 3 in the bag. How are you feeling about your prediction?
Yeah, I might have to revise that prediction. I might have to go up on that. I'm sitting here right at the corner of the contest site, and a girl was walking past. She had a big Corona poster that said 10. I said, I want one of those, because next time there's a 10, I'm going to be sitting here holding up a 10.
Unbelievable. What a day for pro surfing, scoring a swell like this at Jeffreys. Sean, what about a statement for Connor, though? He also was the man that sent Jordy into the second round. Now he has another one of the JBay all-time greats, and he wins the opening exchange, 9-2 to Parko's 7.83.
Yeah, well, looking back on it now, I am stoked that he sent Jordy into the second round, because no one on the beach would have seen a perfect heat. That heat that Jordy laid down was just so so amazing. And I think Connor's really going to give Joel a run for his money. You know, I love the way Joel surfs here. His surfing has really been the benchmark for style, for power, for poise and flow. But I think this young kid has got some fire in his belly. He's got some really unique power carving arcs. So it's going to be a super, super tight race.
So coming off the Geordie Heat, 2:10s. Obviously, this one starting with a 9.2. What about the 10 from Julian Wilson, Sean? That was one of our favorites to watch.
Yeah, that was a great 10. I mean, that long double tube ride, super technical. Like Peter Mel said, he was sloughing off speed. Those stalls were really cool. Very technical. That first section was difficult, and then he had to like drive it up and really ride it out on the foam board. Very high line drive. But he seems to have really come to grips with this wave, Julian Wilson. He doesn't have that great round pintail that he was riding. He busted now, so you could see him on the wave of his last wave. It looked a lot more fluttery, that squash tail that he was riding. So maybe he has another round pintail in his bag, but his surfing out there sure looked superb.
Sean, Geordie's second 10-point ride, the ending of that wasn't one of your favorite maneuvers. Are you rethinking that now?
No, no. This is my feeling on the free fall floater. The free fall floater backside. I've got to really be clear on that. The free fall floater backside is a stall and is a hopeless maneuver. The free fall floater front side, because you can control it so much better, is a maneuver of commitment and courage. So there is a delineation between the two.
As we continue with this one, high line drive from Connor Coffin. Already has the lead on one of the greats. And just trying to avoid that big section to get something better. Just a redirect. It's getting real full as he's fading for the double up. Wants this thing to get nice and round and hollow. Now stalling and setting up the vision. Super deep, great line. Stand wide open. Connor comes flying out. Big arc off the top, and he hangs on to a huge finish.
Joe, I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Connor Coffin fitting right into sync with Jeffreys Bay. He had a version of that finishing move on the opening day that sent Geordie into round 2. Now in bigger conditions, he's absolutely on fire and already putting pressure on a 2-time JBay champion.
Yeah, well, to start off like he has with a 9.20 and then backs it up with this. I like the fact he took his time. He didn't try and force the issue at the beginning of the wave. Just setting himself up. Why? Because you can see this double up coming up. Now you can see getting the hair out of his eyes, setting it up. One more wipe of the face, and then pulls up nice and tight, driving through the section. Now it's starting to open up nice and wide. The barrel here through impossibles, and he comes flying out. He's not done yet. There's no claiming for Connor Coffin, and look at that turn. Holding the rail, and pulls that one off. Almost a bit of a bow right there from Connor. Let's have a look from the water angle. And with that lower tide, Joe, the barrel is starting to open up nice and wide. This is just going to get better and better as the afternoon progresses. And Connor Coffin is going to put a lot of pressure on one of the greatest of all time out here, Joel Parkinson, especially after that last score just dropped.
9.47 for Connor Coffin, 9.20 before that. In a season where he's had 2 heats in the excellent range, make it 3 now with a performance like that. Parko now comboed with 24 minutes on the clock. Connor said he learned a lot in his rookie season on tour last year. Coming back to Jeffreys Bay, we knew it was going to be one of his favorite venues on tour, but now he's showcasing why he spent time here before he qualified, why he came out with that movie called Highline on this exact wave featuring some of his heroes, and he looks like he's in total control.
Oh my goodness, absolutely amazing.
Now with 24 on the clock, let's see if Parko's got a game plan to break the combo here. Always smooth, top turn to drive down the line. Always has his flow, tack sharp. Oh. Beautiful arcs, right on the money, pushing his point down the line, lofty float. And now he'll fade this cutback. He wants this thing to really open up. Back to turns, little check under the lip. Right back into a vertical where he forces it and goes down. So So trying to fight back against Connor, and Joel's got one of the best support crews, and maybe one of his favorite supporters. Young Evie Parkinson is with Rosie Hodge.
Definitely, and Evie, just watching your dad surf, it's pumping Jeffreys Bay. You must be so proud just to see him perform.
Yeah, I am. It's really cool to be down here and watch it all happen.
And you know, you've had the opportunity to travel with your dad and your family to beautiful locations like this. You know, how special is that for you?
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really a big privilege for us to watch and come down and support our dad. It's really, really fun.
And how cool is it? I mean, your dad's a world champion and he just does so well. Does that inspire you in your life?
Yeah, he's a massive inspiration, and it's so cool and such a good experience.
And he just seems to really enjoy this place, and obviously sharing it with you guys must be something that he really enjoys doing too.
Yeah, he loves it. He loves us down here, and we love it as well. But yeah.
And you know, before your dad surfs, you know, that's pretty much his job. Do you give him any words of wisdom before he hits the lineup?
Just good luck, and yeah, just try and win.
And obviously, you know, you're the eldest daughter and you've got a brother and a sister that you have to look after. So is that kind of your responsibility while you're surfing?
Yes. Yeah, we just sit there and we watch him and we cheer him on and all hope for the best.
And you know, he's just had a great wave now. What would be your words of wisdom to him while he's paddling back out in the lineup if you could chat to him?
Keep going and just don't stop, and yeah.
Well, Evie, thank you so much for your time. We'll let you keep watching your pops in the lineup. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Rosie. That was really special, getting to hang out with Evie Parkinson, the oldest of his young family. It's so beautiful to see them all really grow up on tour. Parko, on his speech for his world title, said, hey, he saw Danny Wills bring his whole family with him on tour. He wanted to do the same. Let's see what happened here on his last effort, an 8.07 here.
Yeah, well, 8.07, Joe. This could have gone up into the nines, which he's going to need. He's still in a combo situation, but this is the kind of surfing that Joel has just been so famous for over the years. It's taken him to 2 victories here at Jeffreys Bay. Style for miles is Joel Parkinson, but a little bit of a mistake at the end, which he's got to kind of clean up. Right there, the legs are starting to burn. Now he draws off the bottom and tries to get that board nice and vertical. Just didn't get that rotation on it. Didn't get that snap that he was looking for. That release of the fins was not there for Joel. And yeah, unfortunately goes down on that one. So an 8.07, back to the drawing board now. That's the demoralizing thing here at Jeffreys Bay. You know you need a big score. You're in a combo situation. You surf your brains out all the way through the inside and you don't get the score. Now you've got to paddle all the way back out and just settle yourself down, hit the reset button, and just try and get back to basics. Try and recover as well on the way back out.
Joel Parkinson, one of the greats to come here to Jeffreys Bay, still comboed against Connor Coffin in his second year on tour. Joel in his 16th start here at Jeffreys Bay at the championship tour level. Came in with already 65 heats surfed behind him. 21 of those excellent. We're talking 8s or better on both your keepers, which is an incredible stat. He's only behind Mick Fanning and Kelly Slater on the charts there. Last win here, it's been a few years since he won over Damian Hobgood. He did miss out on 2010 season when he injured himself. When you don't see Parko JBay in the draw, it just sounds wrong. So this is something special seeing him return year after year. Now 36 years of age as he's fighting for his second world title this year.
Yeah, you know, and out of the older guard, the older school guys, Joel the only one in the top 10, so having a fantastic year. And you can see there his results over the years.
Impressive seeing that big win in his first trip ever. Didn't even know where the keyhole was. Woke up in the dark and saw Derek Hine jump out. He's like, well, there we go. And he ended up taking down some pretty big names, some old school names. Luke Hitchings, Mick Campbell. He had heats with Sonny Garcia, former world champ. Also got past a 2-time JBay champ, Jake the Snake Patterson in the quarterfinals. Past Rob Machado in the semis, and then Ross Williams in that final way back when. 19 on the clock, Parko still comboed. Now let's hear from Julian Wilson with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Julian Wilson, I think this is a good question for you. Would you rather get a 10-point ride or a hole-in-one, because you've done both, you know, in a matter of days?
What a magic week. I don't know. I mean, that was just such a beautiful wave. I had a wave before the contest started, and it was the best wave I've ever had at JBay, and then I think I just topped it on that one. But yeah, that was such a nice feeling, and just the way the wave just lined up for me on that second half of it, and yeah, it was glorious in there. So fun.
And you got the 10-point ride, but then we saw that you had buckled your board. You had to do the equipment change. So when did that buckle happen?
I don't know. I think it happened the wave after that wave. The set behind it broke right on my head, and I bailed my board, and then I was like, I had no air left. I was just so winded. And then I got on the ski and went to jump off the ski and felt that my board was pretty much bent in half, and I was like, oh no. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it happened the wave before I hopped on the ski, which was just the set wave after my wave that broke on my head. But my first wave in the heat, I thought I might have creased the tail, but nothing happened, and then that snapped in the middle of the board, so it must have happened after that 10.
And how do you adjust? You're going into 3-man heats. Everyone's bringing their top game. The waves are continuing to pump. So where does the kind of point of difference lie for you?
I'll just try and bring a little more variety than what I have. I felt like I had a pretty good read on the conditions out there then, and feel like there's room for me to improve. So just focus on my own game and go back out there and have some more fun.
Beautiful to watch, Julian. We can't wait to see you in round 4.
Thanks, Rosie.
Thank you, Rosie. Julian Wilson is in a round 4 heat. Well, I guess you got to have a 10 to be a part of that heat. Felipe Toledo, Jordy Smith, Julian Wilson, the 10 club from the Corona Open JBay. Jordy with the first ever perfect heat. That happened just a few heats ago. Now Parkinson looks to come back against Connor Coffin. Big sweep. Right in the pocket. He's over it. Needs something really solid. Halfway through this matchup, Connor holding his position with the lead.
Smart move right there from Connor. That wave had a lot of white water on the face, so... And you've got to just take a look at his scoreline. A 9.2 is his lowest score out of his top 2, so it's going to be difficult for him to better his situation. Joel's still in that combination of 2 rides. He needs 18.68. So basically, he's got to wipe the slate clean and start again. 15.90 is not a bad 2-wave total, but not in this heat. He needs way more.
Connor Coffin signed up for the Micro Surf Academy this season. Very smart move for himself. Seeing Micro's accomplishments with Matt Wilkinson, Tyler Wright last season, also Owen a part of that crew, Laura Enver as well. So now working out those tactics, bringing out his best when it comes to big heat performances. Connor said he had little moments where he felt like he was in a slump result-wise last year in his rookie year on tour, and he has a little mental practice where he can kind of knock that out earlier. Now he's in a position where he's feeling really just happy to be at all these venues on tour. His best surfing's coming to the table on demand. It's really reliable to watch. And also his quiver is really worked out from last season. Sometimes that's half the battle. What boards are going to work on the Dream Tour compared to the QS? He already did his own lap. He can give himself his own feedback, which is important. And his boards always really look perfect here at Jeffreys Bay with his quiver from Channel Islands.
Yeah, absolutely. I think his boards look good pretty much everywhere. It's it just comes down to, obviously wins like this. If he can continue this, obviously he's been on the bombs. And that's the difference. Your wave selection at this level is so important. Your decision making is what makes a difference. I think each one of these guys have the ability to win. I think the point of difference today has been wave selection. I mean, Jordy Smith proved it. He was on the bombs. He got the scores. Leo surfed incredibly well. And again, right here, Joel Parkinson looking sharp. But in saying that, Connor's had the 2 good waves.
Really impressed with Connor's start. 9.47, 9.2. Marco still comboed with 14:30 on the clock. Now let's catch up with Jeremy Flores with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Jeremy, I mean, you've been one of the standouts, obviously coming up against someone like Julian. When you get a perfect 10, you had some great scores, but it's really hard, to come up against that if you don't get that same opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. I was frothing so hard before the heat. He just got that bomb. His wave, I mean, all my waves were fun, but I was expecting it to barrel on the inside, and they were getting kind of fat. And I guess his wave went amazing, so I think that was the difference. I mean, Julian ripped. It was always going to be a hard heat. But the last few events, I feel like I've been losing in heats where guys are just getting bombs, and I'm at the back on the ones that are not so good. So I mean, not so good. It's easy to say. Every wave's pumping out there, so it was still fun, you know, trying to draw big lines and stuff. But definitely would have been cool to make that heat. Yeah, I hope next heat I get that one wave to get the 10 on. But yeah, it was amazing. I was stoked. Good experience.
And I saw you have a couple words with Michel Barrez before you hit the lineup. You guys are obviously good friends. What kind of first-hand advice do you give him before he surfs his heat?
Oh, I just told him this is his kind of conditions. Michel is, you know, we travel a lot together and stuff. He's my really good friend. And I just told him before the heat that this is his kind of wave. So it's his time to shine and just be confident, because I don't think anyone can really do power turn like he did. So just do his own thing.
And this is the dream leg of the tour. Next up, Tahiti. You're a former winner there. You must be looking forward to that event.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's another event. I'm starting to be around on this tour for a long time now, so just happy to get a little bit of shining sometimes with like that one wave in my first round. And if I keep getting good scores, I keep getting surfing in good waves with no one out, it's all a bonus from now on.
Jeremy, we'll see you in Tahiti. Enjoy the summer off.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rosie. Jeremy Flores definitely could call himself a seasoned veteran on the championship tour. One of the more exciting rookies to qualify at a very young age. Kind of right in that same generation as Adriano de Souza. They came up just fighting, just teenagers on tour, and we've seen him grow up. Jeremy can call himself a pipe master. He's also won the Billabong Pro Tahiti, famous for his charging abilities in heavy water waves. And for JBay, you can tell his disappointment. This has been the one venue on tour for Jeremy where he hasn't had a keeper result that he was really happy with. He still has a little left in the tank. We're hoping that just turns into fire for next season to do even better.
You know what, Joe? You look at his surfing. He surfed incredibly well in that heat. He was drawing a beautiful lines on the wave. His boards look good. He's got a great attitude. I think Jeremy's surfing as good as he ever has right now. You know, I think he's surfing smarter, surfing with purpose. Here we go.
Now using priority, Connor ends up going down on the takeoff. So Parkinson with priority with 11:15 to go. Interesting situation there.
Yeah, he kind of took off in the whitewater and it sort of bounced him. And I'm looking at the wave right now and it looks pretty good.
Probably one of those things too, and you sit quietly for a long time with a couple of solid nines, probably just amping to get another wave real quick.
Well, it was, you know, probably positioning not the greatest on the takeoff. Kind of got hit by the whitewater and it sort of upended him. So I know exactly how that feels.
It's interesting too, Potts, because he knows if he's taking off on a wave, to make it worth it, to make it smart, to get a high five from Micro at the end of this one, he's got to better a 9.2.
I think the positive side of that was Joel didn't get that wave. So even though he didn't capitalize on that situation, he's still in a really good spot. And I think the benefit is that Joel didn't get it and the situation is the same.
We'll see what happened here on the takeoff.
Well, you can see Joel in the perfect position and having a look at it, making sure Connor went for that. The wave hit him on the back and bounced him right off. So that was a difficult takeoff. Maybe should have proned out a little bit longer and then stood up at the bottom, but easier said than done here at Jeffreys Bay.
And still in a great situation. Connor's second year on tour has impressed us with key heats. So the one in his rookie year that's famous now, the round 4 matchup with Fanning and Geordie, where he went straight to the quarters, was a breakthrough heat for him in his rookie season on tour. And then now coming to JBay and saying, okay, I want perfect JBay. I want Geordie in my heat. He got that in the first round. And now he draws Parko when it's firing. We're coming off heats with 10s all the way through. And he starts with back-to-back 9-rangers to put one of the greatest in a combo situation throughout this entire matchup. What more could you dream about when you come onto the top 34?
Exactly. I mean, he's had to go through the heaviest guys out here at Jeffreys Bay. Taking down Geordie in round 1, and obviously here we've got Joel in round number 3, where he has Joel against the ropes with 9 minutes to go. Now, the further this clock ticks down, the more difficult it's going to be for Joel to get himself out of that combo situation, just due to the fact of how long it takes to get back out into the lineup, even with the jet ski assist part of the way out.
Parko coming off a huge result, his best of the season. a semi-final at the Outer Known Fiji Pro. Moved him all the way up to number 6 on the Jeep leaderboard. Round 3, we still reseed, so red does mean you're the high seed in the matchup. Connor coming off a few 25ths. That's losing in the round 2. So this is an important result in the making to be a little bit safer for requalification. And another excellent heat surf for Connor. 3rd of the year. As he's looking for his first championship tour win. Last year came close as he made the final in Portugal. Runner-up to John Florence at the end of the season.
Yeah, that was amazing to watch that event for Connor. Surfed incredibly well. It's the kind of wave that suits his style of surfing. I think a lot of waves on tour suit his style of surfing.
Down to the 8-minute mark in a superheat. Connor Coffin still has Parko comboed. Will return to perfect Jeffreys Bay. Thanks for watching the Corona Open JBay as we wish you all a happy Mandela Day. One of our heroes here, what a great man for the country of South Africa as we feel his presence loud and clear here at the walls of Jeffreys Bay. He's got to be proud of looking from above at all the surf that's been provided throughout this event and also the South Africans that are in this contest. Jordy Smith getting a perfect heat on Mandela Day just to make it even more special.
Yeah, the sacrifice that gentleman made to free the country and to support a nation, just unbelievable stuff. And what a day. Have a look at it. The sun is shining, the waves are pumping, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else right now, Joe.
What a great day for the sport. The Corona Open JBay scoring one of the best forecasts we've had in a while here. Surfline giving us the updates, and we couldn't get more excited to get this one started, especially with these matchups that were really hard to separate when we showed up this morning in the dark pots. We got our paper out, we went through each heat. This was definitely one of the favorites to watch, just of Connor's young reputation, growing up at Rincon. Hit down the line point break set up to groom his strengths on. Parko groomed on a point break as well. They almost had the same mold of their upbringing. Both talk about how their point breaks are completely different, but that down the line approach really helps them get in sync with Jeffreys Bay really well.
Yeah, and you know, Joel started amazing, didn't he? 7.83. We're thinking, okay, you know, he's on track. That's a nice little warm up for him. Connor had a little bit of a slippery start with a 1.50, but then bang, bang, back to back, absolute crackers. A 9.2 and a 9.47. Joel finds himself now in a virtually impossible situation, Joe. 4 minutes and 35 seconds remaining. I don't think you can physically get a good wave and get back out in time to get another one. So looks like Connor's going to be upsetting one of the greatest of all time out here.
What a huge row Connor Coffin has had throughout this event already, and we're still just counting down the clock at round 3, heat number 10. So just 2 surfs, but his name's all over this contest. Last year he was pretty disappointed. He went down early. Remember his look on his face after his loss? He was kind of scratching his head a little bit. This year he's coming in confident. That rail line's looking a bit longer on his turns, and Parko's trying to use the time clock to break the combo quickly. It'd be a miracle if he could pull this one off. Beautiful lines to set up this inside wall. Beautiful hook all the way back into the source. Driving through this inside section, he needs it to double up and let him in. Works away from him, back to rail work. Carves it again, and he's out of there. Connor took a look at the wave behind him, got out quick to try to hold down priority to close this one out.
Yeah, I think it all comes back to that 8.07 with that mistake at the end. The leg burner, just didn't quite get that snap, didn't get that release that he was maybe expecting, and went down. That could have been a 9-point ride. It could have been a high 8 that would have really got himself out of that combo situation. He would have had a different mindset, a different kind of confidence, different kind of momentum, and that's just the nature of the beast, really, isn't it? It's especially at this level, as we said before, it comes down to wave selection, Joe, and at the moment, Connor Coffin with the 2 crackers in the heat, you can see Joel looking for the barrel on that occasion, not letting him in. So he's just going to have to go to the rail, do the damage with that those big maneuvers that we've seen him do before. Now he hits the gas, racing down the line, looking for the barrel on the inside again, didn't let him in. And Joel, I think at this stage, realizing, well, it's over as he kicks out of that wave.
So Parko's still trying to fight back, scores coming in, and it looks like the combo is going to remain the same with 2:20 to go. Joel's equipment looks solid, his approach incredible. Just looking for a chance to break the combo, but running out of time as Connor has a lineup to himself out the back. More sets pouring through.
Wow, look at it. It has just been cranking all day, Joe, from the get-go. The first exchange of the morning just really set the pace, didn't it?
It sure did, and Connor now can roll in with total confidence. A couple of big 9s to his name. Doesn't have to worry about really selling this wave. He can just enjoy the ride. Just stalling, waiting for this moment to get enveloped in the womb of Mother Ocean. Look at that one, nice and deep. He'll let go, and he comes flying out. Beautiful layback speed jam for Coffin. Packing another runaway section through impossibles. Can Connor come flying out? Getting all the way down there to the free surf section of the point. And Connor comes popping up further down the line. Really impressed with Connor's performance throughout this event here at the Corona Open JBay. I love his casual style and approach. Let's see at this point when it started to really double up putts.
Yeah, well, this is what you look for through that impossible section. This is what you wait for. This is what you dream about when you get on that airplane and travel halfway around the world. Joel Parkinson just looking into the barrel going, I would love to drop in on you right now. And I think Joel knows, well, it's just not his day, and I think that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of competitive surfing. Some days you cannot put a foot wrong, and other days you just cannot buy the wave. And it's Connor's day. I mean, we never ever doubted this kid's ability. It was just a matter of finding something special, and that's exactly what he's done. 9.2, 9.47, but really, that's what it was going to take to have to beat Joel out here.
And what a confidence booster for Connor Coffin, knowing that he can hold his own on tour, but against the names that get all the hype in the highlight reel for good reason. The previous champs, he's been tested in round 1, round 3. He doesn't look like anything phases him, and I think all of a sudden you see this connection he has with these right-hand walls of JBay, and it's very pure. It's insane to watch. Remember, Connor even took the fish out in the Corona Highline specialty heat because he can't get enough of this wave. 18.67 combined total for Connor as we've lost one of the greats from the draw. Joel Parkinson exits out with some beautiful surfing along the way, and also still solid on the Jeep leaderboard as he heads into Tahiti.
Yeah, absolutely nothing wrong with the way Joel surfed. We all came down to wave selection, Joe. And on the day, Connor found those 2 gems.
Coming up next, round 3, heat number 11 with Michelle Perez and Italo Ferreira. We'll be right back. How's it, my brew? Is a common phrase that you'll hear when you're greeted by all the great locals here at Jeffreys Bay, and they just welcome you to this beautiful right-hand point break, and you're treated like a king. Special waves here, special food, and you always take home a lot of great memories. Michel Perez now taking on Italo Ferreira in classic conditions here at JBay, coming off a series of 10s, high 9s in the last heat for Connor's win, as we're setting up round 4 action. Already some big battles that we're looking forward to. Remember, the commissioner's office is planning on getting right through round 4 before we leave the beach today, Potts.
Hundreds, Joe, and that's another classic phrase that is coined here in South Africa. And as Sean put it this morning, the waves are cooking.
Absolutely cooking. I love all the slang here in South Africa. Italo Ferreira did get started, Potts.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, this kid's on fire. Surfs incredibly well. Coming off an injury, it doesn't look like it, though. He's really solid. I reckon that the modern-day Tom Carroll, I think, probably one of the danger men. If I was going to put someone on a fantasy team, one of the goofy footers, I'd definitely have this guy, no matter where in the world you are. He's a danger man, whether it's Fiji, whether it's the Gold Coast with that 10-point ride, big backside maneuvers from Italo Ferreira. He races down the inside and just doesn't quite connect with it, but looking strong, looking confident, and that board looks really good under his feet. Michel Perez tries to answer back, get a quick start, goes for a big searing maneuver, loses that back foot, and unfortunately does not capitalize on that opening roll of the dice.
Looks like he's going to try to recover from that fall real quick. The Spartan, as he's known as, Michel Perez, starting to lay into that first full roundhouse. Now driving out in front. Nice easy pace and tempo as he's hoping for a double up. Keeping that wrap nice and tight. The Tahitian now has his eyes set on the lip, lay back hack. A lot of downward drive on that carve. Now he's going to try to pack this inside section. He pulls in super deep. And that one's going to shut down through impossibles. Michel Perez now answering back to what Italo Ferreira turned in as an 8-point ride. More action in the lineup with our goofy foot, Italo Ferreira. As he hops out of there, 30 minutes on the clock. We had Sean Thompson predicting we'd see 410s today. We got to see him executed with the help of the barrel ride. Sean, what about maneuvers only? Can that be achieved today?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a pure carving 10. I got my piece of paper here waiting for that pure carving 10. I actually thought Connor Coffin might have got a pure carving 10. He was just carving that Channel Islands, like right, bearing it on the rail. Michel Perez is probably one of the top power surfers in the world today. He has a possibility of doing it. So I'll tell you what, when I see that carving 10, I'm going mad.
What are you going to throw up? You have your sign there. We missed it, Sean.
I got my sign there. I got it ready.
That is so classic.
I got it ready for the carving 10. So Michel is one guy that could do it, certainly Connor. A lot of other guys out here. Jordy Smith can certainly lay down a carving 10. So that's what I'm looking for. Yes, you guys know how much I love the barrel, but I want to see that carving 10.
Sean, what about 10-point rides in your career? How many did you get?
There were very few, Potts. Back then, 10 was sort of the rarefied zone that was only available to the gods, and we went in that zone.
It's like the unicorn, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, it's fun looking back with 10s. Pierre Tosty's known as, longtime photographer for the tour. I think it was back in the 84 year when Aki won, Sean, if you remember. Pierre had a heat where it was still top 4 waves that were counted, and Toast had 3 10s. His fourth was in the high 9s. So I guess that was one of the years where the waves were absolutely incredible, Sean.
Yeah, that was an epic year, and Pierre Tosti, great tube rider, but I don't think he got them from carving, and I'm hoping that maybe John or one of the crew are going to lay down that perfect carving 10. That's what I'm looking for.
Oh, what a challenge that would be, just to do it on turns alone. Sean Thompson always wants to test the world's best and increase what he's looking for out here, and hoping we can get it done on maneuvers alone. And Connor almost achieved that, getting into the high 9s in the last heat. Italo sets the bar here with an 8.0 as the high mark. Perez had the fall, recovered to a 6.5 on the next exchange.
Sets absolutely pouring through the lineup. Italo Ferreira just can't help himself. He's got to go again.
Ferreira now already heating up. Ton of speed. He'll just wait for the lip, bangs it vertically. Resets his feet, fades the top turn, and now waits for this thing to grow. Frames it vertically, solid arc, well overhead section, hacks it right on the money, big free fall, and he hangs on.
Wow. He's famous for that, isn't he, though? I mean, he's so solid on his feet, this guy. I mean, those free fall drops, you know, just, he doesn't ever look like falling off. I mean, even that little glitch halfway through that wave where he caught the rail, most guys would have gone over the handlebars, but just the sheer balance, the sheer core strength that this guy possesses, was able to regather and finish off that wave strong.
Got such a great approach. When I caught up with Damien Hobgood yesterday, this was one goofy footer that he picked out that he said had a difference, that he felt like his lines were studied by Aki, that he learned a lot, but also he brought something different to the table. He has that real neutral, solid stance where he can fall out of the sky in what looks to be an awkward position and make it look like it was all according to his plan.
I mean, that 10-point ride on the Gold Coast was, he had no right to make that. I mean, that was bar none one of the craziest backside rotations I think I've ever seen. But let's have a look at Ilo Ferreira here. You'll see what happens as he comes off the bottom here. The first maneuver, jams it in the pocket, and he comes down the bottom, almost loses it right there, back foot completely off the board, and then manages to recover. But then doesn't just recover, but recovers in great style. Big slashing turn, and then again, watch this maneuver here. Bang up through the loop, and then that free fall drop, just so solid on his feet. So Ilo Ferreira is going to drop another solid score and put some serious pressure on Michel Perez.
Just so impressive to go this fast and to be willing to land in the impact zone.
Yeah, just that vertical turn, but then connecting nicely with the lip, free falling out of the sky. Watch this right here, bang. Look at that, he's got 1 foot on the board, Joe, but just so casual about it, just to regather and then go straight into the next maneuver. I mean, you can see the thighs, thunder thighs. He's a solid kid, and he's got that real neutral stance where he's got equal amount of pressure on both feet. You know, a lot of guys you'll see will sort of favor that back foot, whereas Ilo Ferreira has got that even power between both feet. He's an amazing switch foot surfer, and it just bodes him well, especially with those airs. Controls his body in the air very well, and no matter how he lands, he feels comfortable.
He's definitely one of the more entertaining surfers to watch, and sometimes when I'm watching him free surf, it reminds me a bit of a Mason Ho free surf, where he's doing whatever he wants. He'll take a different line, he'll try different airs, he'll ride the rest of the wave switch stance if he wants to, where it's not like you see every competitor preparing for their heats the way Italo does, and then when he's in a heat, he switches it on and fires it up. Ferreira won the Rookie of the Year honor over a tight pack. The closest competitor that year for that honor was Wiggly Dantes, right behind him in 2014. Now it's Michel's turn. Beautiful down car from the Tahitian to kick this one off. He's going to stretch it out, looking way down the line, now looking for the barrel. Starting to run after the exit. Can he sneak out of this one? Looked like he set it up well, and unfortunately for Michel Perez, he gets lost. The Spartan, one of the more powerful guys on tour. Flores was saying his good friend, it's basically impossible to outpower him. He's always famous for that in the early years on the tour. Sometimes he'd overpower himself. He never holds back. And then he finds the sync and rhythm where he's staying on his board much more now these days. He's already been in a world title race in the past. He's won events from Rio to Margaret River, and coming off his best result this season with a semi-final at the Outer Known Fiji Pro.
Yeah, I mean, he's had success in Fiji in the past, and you know, no surprise there really. Growing up in Tahiti, no stranger to those shallow reef break waves, and you know, when you talk about power, the first guy that does come to mind is Michel Perez. I don't think he's one of the most powerful. I think he is the most powerful guy on tour for sure.
So the Spartan looking to come back against Italo Ferreira, still chasing an 8.77. Now let's talk to the Californian who's on fire, Connor Coffins with Rosie Hodge.
Well, Connor Coffin doesn't get any better than that. I'll let you catch your breath, but doesn't get any better. Surfing against someone like Parko, he's regarded as one of the best out here, but dropping 2 nines before the 22-minute mark.
No, it doesn't get any better. I mean, I guess you can get 2 10s like Jordy, but I'll take 2 9s any day of the week. That was unreal. I don't know. I was so excited. I paddled into some terrible wave right at the beginning. I was like, yeah, whatever. It's so good out here. There'll be plenty. And then, sure enough, Parker went on the first one. The next one was just lined up the whole point in sheet glass. And I don't know. blacked out after that.
And your run through this contest has been pretty difficult. Coming up against Geordie in round 1, Parker in round number 3. So you've had to really pull out all the stops. Like you said, you like that challenge. Is that still something that you're relishing in?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I love surfing against those guys. Parker's another one of my favorite surfers, and just the way he surfs out here is amazing. And we were joking earlier, like all the goofy footers were winning heats. I was like, well, at least a goofy footer's not going to win our heat. And we both like to do cutbacks, go on front side and get head dips. So it was a good matchup. I mean, we both, I think, love surfing this wave more than probably most waves on the planet, and going fast and doing big turns and getting barreled. So it was always going to be a really fun heat. And Parker paddled out and he was like, you damn it, like you already have me combo and I have an 8.77. I was like, yeah, but there's 10s out here and there's 22 minutes left. So I didn't feel safe until I was down here and he was down here too and the heat was over. So yeah, I didn't really know what to do after I had 2 9s. I was like, okay, well, I guess I just sit here and try to go if a 10 comes. But yeah, that was really fun.
And with round 4 hitting the water later, obviously it's a lot of energy, a lot of froth, a lot of stoke going on. How do you prepare for that?
I don't know. I need to go take some deep breaths. My lungs were burning by the time I got done back out from that second 9. So yeah, just go chill and drink some water. And yeah, I'm just so happy to be here and having way too much fun. So can't believe we're getting these waves, and it's a dream come true to surf JBay with one other guy. I mean, I'm just tripping on it. It doesn't even feel real. And just want to say hi to all my friends and family at home, all the boys home, and my parents and grandparents, and Mikey and CI for making the amazing board. So yeah, this thing's magic, and thank you guys.
Connor, the froth is tangible. Go get ready for that round 4.
Thank you very much, Rosie and Connor, for a brilliant display of surfing. It's pretty early in the morning back in California, but for sure his family's up watching. Connor's dad, Rich, mom, Krista, younger brother Parker is such a standout surfer, and his grandparents would always drive down to nationals at Lower Trestles to root him on. He loves spending time with his family, and you can tell he's just feeding off the energy of Jeffreys Bay into round 4 to continue this run. And he'll be joined by the winner of this heat and also the winner of the heat with Matt Wilkinson and Jack Freestone.
Yeah, it's going to be some unbelievable matchups in round number 4, Joe, but have a look out the back, and he's absolutely pumping. Michel Perez looking at wave number 1, and there is Stacks to the horizon. Probably one of the biggest sets again. I keep saying that. Another big set.
Keeps getting bigger. Beautiful down carve for Michel Perez. Hammers it with a big hook. Great start for the Tahitian. More left in the tank. There's that tight power hook he's got on lockdown. Drills it again to create another big frontside hook. Now setting up the tube, or thinking about it. Back to maneuvers for the Spartan. Little layback hack. And he'll just hop out to safety. Well executed maneuvers from Michel, needing an 8.77 to get a lead change.
Yeah, well, Michel Perez, and you can see him sitting up. Why? Because he's about to get mowed down by a solid set wave. And Italo Ferreira was on that second wave of the set but came unstuck. Back to the drawing board for him. He's going to have a look at this one.
So Italo takes off halfway down the line, gets off to his feet at the bottom of the wave. Already through one turn, nice top turn wrap. For the former Rookie of the Year, jams it solid, well overhead, still a lot of froth on the face, airdrops it. And does it all without even flinching. He could probably jump out of a second-story building and just land on his feet like a cat.
Yeah, I was going to say that cat-like balance from Italo Ferreira. 7.27 is what's required for him to improve his situation. Michel Perez is guaranteed going to improve on his second highest score, just a 2.17. What a day of surfing, Joe.
This is what we come here for, why we travel so far, for people that are coming from California and also the Hawaiians like John Florence, getting on multiple flights with the dream of seeing Jeffreys Bay like this. And also seeing the 10s and the perfection from Jordy Smith. 2 10s in a heat's a huge statement of JBay. You see that more often in Tahiti. You see it also at Cloudbreak in Fiji when it's on. But a wave where you're doing maneuvers, combos, and getting barreled with so many options to fall. It's a huge day today.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Probably one of the more difficult ways to get a perfect heat. I mean, there's so much time on the wave. There's so much time to be exposed if you make mistakes. And Jordy Smith just nailed it. I mean, there was Ronnie and Pete were in the booth while that heat went down, and Ronnie said, I've got a feeling that we're going to see something special, and that's exactly what happened.
A special moment for today on Mandela Day here at the Corona Open. Jeffreys Bay, stop number 6 of the World Surf League Championship Tour. Italo Ferreira, former Rookie of the Year, fired up to score conditions like this. And how was this decision to take off on this one halfway down the line?
Well, not a bad one. I mean, he's such a grommet. He's such a surf-stoked kid that he just couldn't help but he couldn't let this wave go. A couple of nice turns here. I'm not sure whether it's going to better his situation, but this last turn right here, just free-falling out of the sky. 7.27 required to improve his situation. I'm not quite seeing it, but Michel Perez is going to get himself right back in the mix. He's looking for an 8.77. Took the first wave of the set. Now, the biggest set waves aren't always the best ones, are they? There's some of them that are, but a lot of them aren't. They run a little wider. These medium-sized ones hit the reef a lot better and just offer multiple opportunity, and that's what Michel's doing. He's been looking for the barrel most of the heat. Now he's going back to basics, just going back to those big cat power calves, and this is going to narrow the gap. I don't think he's going to get to 8.77, but I tell you what, it's going to be pretty close.
Amazing performance from the Spartan. I just love the start, how he had to draw the line out a little bit longer. His carves go by so quickly half the time. That body just wraps and it's gone. 8.5 for Michel. Second, now needing a 6.77 for the lead. So a solid, excellent range number for the Tahitian. Now at the 16-minute mark, as they're trying to get into round 4 to surf again later on today. You see the decision from the panel. They dropped the high and the low and averaged the middle 3, all agreeing that it was excellent surfing throwdown from Michel Perez.
We're still waiting for Italo's last ride. You heard Connor talk about that his lungs were burning after that second 9-point ride. It's a very demanding wave. Physically, mentally, you expend so much energy just watching it. Even it's one of those waves that you kind of got to look away. You got to walk away from it and sort of lie down in a quiet space and try not think about things too much, because mind surfing, every wave that comes through, you're thinking about what am I going to do on it, trying to visualize before you even hit the water. You've expended tons of energy.
And then also paddling out with your own power. It's snapper. Next thing you know, you're calling for the ski to get you back out behind the rock. These guys have their work cut out for them on a beautiful day at Jeffreys Bay. We'll take a quick break as Italo Ferreira leads over Michel Perez. Right after this, we'll be back for more action. In August of last year, there was some special news that was released by the International Olympic Committee that formally included surfing in Tokyo in 2020 Summer Olympic Games. Chiba, Japan's going to be the host. 20 men and 20 women get to represent their country on a chance to win gold for the first time ever in surfing history. 16-day event window. And we've been waiting for this breakthrough announcement to happen for a long time. Thinking about this heat, we've got Tahiti represented. We also have Brazil in the matchup. We're here in South Africa. Surfing is truly a global sport and now being recognized on the Olympic stage.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff, really. I never thought I'd see that day come around the corner, but there it is. Surfing will be in the Olympics in 2020, so amazing stuff.
And also a place in Japan that you've really found a lot of success in your career.
I know very well, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to sit back and watch that unfold.
Really looking forward to that. And, coming up quickly. It's already 2017, so there's a lot of surfers that are probably thinking about that dream coming in a few years from now as we get back into this one with Michel Perez fighting for a 6.77 now in the lead. Nice lofty float coming from behind the corner here. Throws it vertical. Fades it quickly right into a solid arc. It's getting hollow through the inside, sticking with turns, just flowing over the section. And that's going to put him behind. Previous wave of Italo, the 6.83 he took on halfway down the line, didn't go into his top two. So Michel still left chasing a 6.77 with that effort.
Yeah, it's going to be close. I mean, some good surfing there from Michel Perez. I like the fact he's gone back to maneuvers. He was looking for the barrel. It wasn't quite working out. And I think that's a lot of guys can get maybe caught in that scenario where they've seen what's unfolded so far today with Geordie's barrel, with Julian's barrel, with Connor's barrel, and they're out there looking for it, hunting it, because that's really the best feeling in the sport. We spoke to Felipe yesterday, and he said between airs and barrels, I prefer barrels. So even with someone that's got an air game like Felipe Toledo, the barrel is what everyone's looking for. But Michel Perez gone back to basics, which I love. Those really solid maneuvers. And I think that's what's going to get him the big points. And let's give Sean a 10 on maneuvers, because that's exactly what he wants to see. Big carving maneuvers. Connor came close. Michel Perez is one guy who can do that.
Seeing the numbers locking in now. 8.5 was Michel's high. Backs it up with a 5.83 as he's chasing the 6.77. Italo getting launched into this wave. Rips one off the coping with a nice slide off the lip. Carves it right in the pocket. Now sets it up vertically with that little fin slide. Italo throwing risk off the coping. Hits it off the top again. And now will fade to set up the inside track. Winds up vertically. An absolute dagger straight up into the lip. Now looking to finish. That one's just going to run down the point. Italo does make it back out in front. One of the fastest surfers on tour gets a bonus section down the line.
Welcome to Jeffreys Bay.
Oh my goodness. Italo can get speed just on anything that moves in the ocean. Thinking about a wave at Jeffreys Bay, he's close to the point down there, Potts.
The thing with Jeffreys Bay, Joe, is you're not searching for that speed. You've automatically got it from the get-go. As soon as you take off and you do one turn, you're doing 100 miles an hour. And I think the key is to try and slow yourself down, because you heard Mick talk about his very first wave here. It was a straight line from top to bottom, and he didn't do one turn on it. So sometimes you can maybe get caught in that scenario, but you get so much speed out here that the key is to wipe it off and then to manage it. Not wipe off too much, because as soon as you do that, you get caught behind the section. So it's a real fine line.
We're happy to see the jet ski come into play here at Jeffreys Bay on conditions like this. Italo's just going to get a ride to the section at Impossibles. Then he still has a long way to paddle on his own. But basically from where he is now, we wouldn't see him for a long time if he had to work on his own, especially with the distance he's achieved.
Well, with 9 minutes to go, he'd probably get back out in the lineup with about a minute or two left on the clock. That's how far down the point he is.
So brought the ski into play just to a certain mark that they decided was fair. And he'll be right back out there in a matter of moments. Was so impressed that he was committed to slide. Sean Thompson, what did you think about this last wave?
It was a good ride. I think there's a dramatic contrast between Michel's style and Italo's style. Italo's what I call a fin driver. He really drives off his fin. You can see the front part of his board never really enters the water. Whereas Michel's a power driver. He's really powering off that rail. So one uses the rail, one uses the fins a lot more. You can see his board's kind of fluttery out there. Got a similar style to Gabriel Medina. Being right on the tail enables him to do those super fast vertical rios off the back. It's just a different technique. One drives the rail, one drives off the fin.
Great to see his transitions. What about the risk involved, Sean, of trying to get a fin slide off the coping, that lip line here at Jeffreys Bay?
Yeah, I think Italo's surfing is a lot more risk. I think it's a lot easier for him to fall than it is for Michel. Michel's way more like solid on his feet, but Italo's got that lightning fast speed advantage. So it's just sort of your like DNA makeup. One surfer is more reactive, one surfer is more of an analyzer, one is more of a carver, one's more driving off the the fins. You know, we're all just made differently. And what's great today is that there's so many different personalities and styles on the tour, which is just reflective of the diversity of surfing. You know, everyone's not on that same old path, off the bottom, off the top, off the bottom, off the top. There's so much creativity. I mean, I think there's been a creative explosion in pro surfing over the last 2 years, and it's wonderful as an outsider to come and see it happening right out here at the greatest right-hand point break in the world.
Sean, do you think the freeing up of the system too with the innovation, I mean, the top two waves, it's kind of freeing these guys up to be more spontaneous, to have a go?
Very much so. I think the whole movement of judging towards rewarding commitment, rewarding risk, like Richie Porter said on the first day, we are not going to be rewarding safety surfing with high points. So the surfers know that they want to get the points and win, they've got to be radical. And that's what the crowd loves, that's what I love, that's what all surfers love. We love radical, committed surfing, and I think it's just filtered through into the way that pro surfers approach waves. And it's just, I mean, it's a great period for pro surfing right now.
Thank you so much, Sean Thompson, a man that really created the sport that we see today along with his crew. If you haven't seen that movie, Bustin' Down the Door, it's an incredible one for surfing history. Sean ended up winning a title back in 1977, won a specialty event here at JBay back in 81. The prize purse, about 850 rands, probably about 80 bucks back then, but they were just starting it all. All they wanted to do was surf perfection and decide who was the best at surfing JBay. Sean took that top honor way back when, and still here ripping here on the lay days as well.
Oh, absolutely ripping. I still think the footage in free ride of Sean surfing off the wall to this day is probably the best tube riding I think I've ever seen.
Really special to look back in history to see who's really paved the way for us today here in 2017. Italo still out front of this one. 8-point ride. Last score in now, 7-7-3. So Michel Perez with priority. Still looking for a 7-2-3 to earn a spot into round 4 to compete later on today. Remember, Corona and Parlay have gone together to make an amazing partnership, and they're working hard with some legends of the sport, guys who love big waves, like two-time big wave champ Greg Long. He's hanging out with Strider, but they're watching this right now. Sets pouring around the corner. Michel Perez looking for a score to turn this heat. Needs to be a 7-2-3 to accomplish that. First turn solid. Nice cut back off the top. Driving through another big power carve. Hooks it again. The Tahitian looking for more through the inside track. Beautiful, healthy looking hook. A lot of power in that final turn, and does he have room to pull in? He'll just sneak out of there. More waves on the way. Italo halfway down the line. Nice vertical jam, coils up and drills it again, and he likes that one. Solid finishing move and a very important exchange to decide the outcome of this heat. Opener for Michel, nice and solid, but Italo looked really happy with that last wave.
Yeah, Italo lit that one up, and so did Michel. So we're going to see, I think we're going to see Michel improve his situation. 6.5, ultimately looking for a 7.23, Joe, but I've got a funny feeling Italo's going to up that 7.73, and I think that requirement's going to be pushed out just that little bit more. These guys are just going at each other, wave for wave. Plenty of waves coming through, plenty of waves ridden, plenty of opportunity. That's what we want to see.
Really impressed to see what the Goofies have done today, and we've had some great examples of their approach because it's been Goofy versus regular. First 3 heats of the round, it was Goofies getting that domination. So round 4, heat 1 is Joan Duru, Gabriel Medina, and Owen Wright. And now see how Ferreira, his approach, he kind of has that neutral stance, can land in any sort of position he wants as we look at Michel's wave.
All right, 7.23. Let's have a look. First turn connected nicely. It's got the speed and the power. You talked about, you heard Sean talk about that. He's that rail guy. He likes setting the rail. He likes driving off that rail, holding those turns. Again, lightning fast, looking for the barrel, just sneaking around it. Now he comes off the bottom again, and there's that trademark Spartan turn that we love. Just powerful, gouging again, that body positioning. Now he draws off the bottom and tucks through the back. So Michel Perez, good wave there for him. And then right behind him, Italo Ferreira on his backhand. A searing move. Now it starts to stand up on the inside. Jams it up through the lip. Now he starts to hit it down the line. Watch the speed that he gets. The high line that we talk about here at Jeffreys Bay. Now he draws off the bottom. bangs it up through the lip. Around that section, waiting for it. Another beautiful turn from Italo Ferreira. And again, a vertical snap. So wave for wave. Is that better than 7.73? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Beautiful positioning there from Italo Ferreira. Beautiful timing. These guys have got to be tired by around about now, Joe. I mean, the amount of waves they've had, the amount of maneuvers they've done, the donuts that you take on the inside right there. I'm tired just watching it.
I'm exhausted. So these guys are absolutely ripping. I'm with you on Italo's last, where for those verticals like that can't be denied here at Jeffreys Bay. It's looking like he should be in a good position to increase. Michel probably turning in one of his best as we're down to 2 minutes. And now they're still trying to find the steam to paddle back out to hold priority just in case it comes down to a final set.
Yeah, well, 1 minute and 50 seconds remaining. Look at that score from Michel Barrez.
An 8.23. Michel did enough to get the lead off Italo. And now last of Ferreira is important to see if he'll get his lead back.
8.73 required. That's huge.
So a massive turn on that exchange. Michel's been trailing this entire matchup, finally getting the nod to turn this heat. And now Italo is locking into it, a very important ride. First turn through the whitewater, now out in front. Fading cutback, quickly looking down the line. Nice hack off the lip, throws it vert again. So packing in the maneuvers. Jams it shut on the end section, and he likes it. Throwing the claim out, putting a little salt on that one.
Wow.
But last wave pot, 7.43 for Italo, didn't help his cause.
Enough.
So he needs an 8.73 there to get into round 4.
I'm not seeing it, Joe, unfortunately. How's that, though? To lead from start all the way till a minute to go, Michel Barrez steals it off him with literally minutes left on the clock. 8.23 from Barrez. Couple it up with that 8.50. We're looking at a healthy 2-wave total. Now, Italo looking for some information from the beach commentary. Nice snap there. This is the judges reviewing this wave. Beautiful turn. I don't know how he can do this. He's surfed that many waves and that turn there. Critical stuff at the end, but an 8.73. That is well and truly into the excellent range.
Michel now on his final wave of the matchup with just 10 seconds on the clock. He's going to surf this wave like he needs to score. 2 brilliant hacks already. Goes for the high line, recovers from it. He's left chasing for a finish down the line. Big windup, big power hack, and he goes down. So now the heat is a wrap, waiting for numbers from last of Italo. His previous one, 7.43. And he needed even more out of the final exchange. Michel looking solid with a couple of big 8-point rides to join Connor Coffin in round 4.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what a heat that was. That was a serious battle. I think Michel might have broken his leash. Looked like his board was semi-detached from him, so let's hope he grabs that board before it washes up on the rocks.
Italo has given us a lot of energy in that heat pots. He had the lead, but he was also getting a lot of rides. He's thrown away a couple of 7s, a high 6. So it just looked like his rhythm was the one that was going to keep pace for the lead. And then the Spartan shows up and just absolutely powers it, as judges are still waiting to make the decision here.
Yeah, this is the 8 that they're looking at. The opening wave of the heat for Italo Ferreira. And it was a really good wave. It was a longer wave and it had lots of opportunity, some serious backside maneuvers. It had the distance as well. Not that distance comes into play, but with distance comes opportunity. The last wave from Italo was a shorter wave, didn't offer as much scoring potential on it, but surfed it well nonetheless. Scores dropping. It's going to be close.
Italo left chasing an 8.73. This has been one of the longer ways to make a decision in a matchup. That's how tight it's been between these two. Totally contrasted styles. Michel 8.5, 8.23. Scores in for Italo 8.07. It's not enough. The Tahitian comes from behind, steals the win right at the end to move on to round 4.
Wow. Crazy stuff right there.
What a matchup. Both turning in massive numbers. 16-7-3 total for Michel. The 8-5 that he had early, he's been sitting on that one, finally capitalized to upset Italo, and Ferrer had all the rhythm in that heat.
He did. I'm just trying to digest that whole thing, and maybe it was the variety that Michel Perez brought to the table that gave him the nod. You know, Italo was doing those backside snaps, and it was almost kind of, he got in that rhythm where it was maybe the similar turn every time, but I don't know. We're splitting hairs, Joe. I mean, that was a great heat. It could have gone either way.
One of those heats that you love to watch because both are going blow for blow, showing their strengths. This time it's Michel's to move on to round 4 as he joins another powerhouse in Connor Coffin, which he will hopefully run later on today. Coming up next, the man on top of the Jeep leaderboard, Matt Wilkinson, takes on Jack Freestone. We'll bring in Ronnie Blakey and Peter Mel for the call.
The yellow Jeep leader jersey, it's kind of a weight on your shoulders as well as the awesomeness of having it on. Came into this event last year with it, and this is kind of where I started losing it. So hopefully this is where I start making a gap between me and second this year.
Matt Wilkinson, the Jeep ratings leader, bashes through that first section.
To put the yellow Jeep leader jersey on again is pretty amazing. I definitely didn't expect it coming into this leg. This is the end of the year that counts. It's hard to be smart and hard to not try and be a hero. Just gonna go out and do what it takes to win, hopefully.
Welcome back to the Corona Open JBay. We are here at Firing Super Tubes with our current Jeep ratings leader, Matt Wilkinson, about to hit the lineup up against another Australian in Jack Freestone. It should be an epic battle. Another opportunity to see a backsider go up against a frontsider out here in what should be a really good contrasting heat.
It's a huge heat for Matt Wilkinson. He already has those title contenders through in front of him with only one of those guys losing out, so he has to match that. He has to stay on point. There's an added pressure to that, being that he is in the last heat of this draw.
That's right, yeah. He goes Jack Freestone by the looks of things on a good-looking wall too. Firing conditions, he just gets a little hung up there for a moment, and as a result, that wave reels off without him. But Jack needs to make up some ground. He's sitting back in 26th position this year. That strong result over at Margaret River. He's up once again here, taking an insider. A very committed turn there. Chasing this wave down the line a little now. Bit of foam on the face. He's going to opt to kick on out. Can't see any quality opportunities down the line there to lay some big tracks. But Matt Wilkinson way down the line. He had a wave at the start of this exchange too. The last heat of the third round, and as Pete mentioned, if we were looking at the leaderboard in a live sense, Then there's a few surfers on the leaderboard that have already overtaken Matt by progressing through to the 4th round. John Florence and Geordie Smith, also Owen Wright.
Well, I like what Wilco said in the very beginning. We were talking to him about what he needs to do is not get sucked up into the fireworks. He just needs to be smart and make good decisions. So here he is taking the first of the exchange, picking a wave that's going to line up and give him the pace he needs. And that's the type of surfing he is known for here at JBay. Upside down, backhand attack. We love to see it, and he's done it right here. He looks loose, he looks free, he does not look stressed out. We saw him come here with that yellow jersey last year with a huge lead, and he looked a little stressed. Here, a lot looser. We love that. A much more experienced Matt Wilkinson, because he's now a title contender.
That's got to be the best wave he's ridden in this event too. Getting a little bit further away from the breaking water in transition back into the next section. We've seen him get ankle tapped a couple of times in the earlier rounds, but on that occasion, with a bit more room to move, he let go of some big turns. An 8.87 to kick things off here. Jack Freestone, just a couple of 3-point rides to
what a start
his campaign.
And here you are putting a lot of pressure onto Jack Freestone with that 8.87. I mean, it's exactly how Wilco needed to start this heat. He almost sacrificed a little bit of size and wave just to visit the wave quality, and it paid off.
Well, here he goes again. Just trying to find a backup straight away. Has been watching all day. Just waiting for the opportunity to get out there. You'd have to call that a bit of a wave selection mistake. Was on his way to priority out the back and, well, swung halfway up the point there, and he's not going to convert that into a solid number at all.
Has been trying a few different boards out here. You saw the one that had the black spray on it. We've seen him to use in success throughout the early part of the season. I saw him riding that board, not on it right now. This one probably a little bit more designed for the solid surf we have on hand. But man, he looked good right out of the gates like that. That's got to feel good.
Like Geordie Smith, a couple of days back, survived a couple of sketchy round two heats there. Geordie, he just squeaked by Dale Staples. Matt Wilkinson, a little more convincing in his win in the second round, but it was still a little too close for comfort against Michael February. So he's gone out there clearly wanting to start well, and now he just has to make sure he finds a backup number, because the 8.87 is strong.
Absolutely strong. I mean, you'd feel like watching today's action and the heat totals that have been happening today, you've got to be high 8s. I mean, 16 points hasn't been enough. It needs to be 17, 17.5, 18, even 19 points we've seen, and even 20. A perfect heat happening today.
Big points differential between a third round exit and, at worst, a round 5 appearance. A 9th fetches you 4,000 points. Falling out of the mix in this round, 1,750. So, like I was saying, if you look at the leaderboard in a live sense, Geordie Smith, John Florence, Owen Wright have already jumped ahead of Wilco.
There's the gap right there. I mean, 1,750 into 4,000 points. You know, that equal 9. It means everything, you know. And then 1,200 points. So even the round 5, if you win that heat, great jump into the quarterfinal points.
Sean Thompson already calling this one of the greatest days of competition in the event's history. There's been some good ones.
Well, I think not only the waves coming to the party, but the performances, and not just by like one surfer in each heat. It's been highly contested heats, big heat totals, solid heat scores. So the whole package, you know, not just the waves, but the performances, the weather. I mean, it's been sunny and slightly warm.
Here we go. Jack Freestone up once again. Hangs on to that move. He's probably second guessing this right at the moment, and he opts to kick out.
It's incredible to see when a surfer knows that, like, that one little hitch or one little mistake, you look down the line, you're like, can I make up and make that decision? Can I make it up down the line? Realizing at that point, he's like, doesn't look like this wave's going to give me that opportunity. If it's going to be a big barrel, or maybe he's going to get that section that'll allow him, 2 or 3 really big, strong turns. Didn't happen there, so he kicks out, has the mind to kind of reset and head back out.
25 minutes to go. Sean Thompson watching on at seeing some differences between the approach of Matt Wilkinson and Italo Ferreira in the last heat, Sean.
Yeah, massively different approach. I think Italo's approach and Gabriel Medina's are very similar. You know, they really drive hard off their fins, whereas both Owen Wright and Matty Wilkinson have got that hard rail driving approach. That approach was invented by a very famous Australian. He was one of my idols and my heroes when I was growing up, a guy called Wayne Lynch. He used to really set that rail in the water, really revolutionized backhand surfing. And the way both of the guys surf is very much in the mold and the way that the lines that Wayne laid down in 1968. So it's amazing to see that power carving surfing never goes out of style, and in my mind, power rules, man.
Well, Matt Wilkinson definitely delivered some big hits on that last ride. No, it's hard to make comparisons to someone who had as much power off the top as Occy, but I do feel like on the bottom hand turn there is a comparison to be made there with Matt Wilkinson, the way he just leans and looks up at the lip, and we're going to see it on this ride.
Yeah, and I love his wide stance. You know, he's got that wide power stance. He just loves to carve, and he manages to do these deep bottom turns and shoot vertically up like that. You know, not a lot of guys can do that. They do the deep bottom turn and they might come up with a free fall floater, but he's a real, like, natural born carver.
And bringing this one right through to the inside. Wilco looking for a finish on the bricks there, but can't quite stick it. But still, it's going to be better than the 1.83. I think his first ride was definitely cleaner, Pete. But that'll be a healthy backup.
It would be a healthy backup. It's going to be good, but not great. I love the analysis from Sean Thompson talking about driving off of the fins. You know, we saw that's kind of a difference that Owen and Conor O'Leary kind of had, even though we showed the side-by-side and the comparisons, but there was much more using the tail rail rather than the mid portion of the rail, which is what we see coming from Owen or coming from Wilco. They're turning off the middle of the part of the board, so they're more of a front-footed kind of surfer, whereas if you're loading up off the bottom and that back foot, you're really turning off the fins. Take a look at this wave here. I like the wave choice. I think that it's, you know, a nice size set wave, but it really didn't cooperate. You know, it was a bit flatter on the face. Hard to tell when you look straight on like this, but you could tell right here, just this midsection didn't have the load up, the water that it should carry as it went through that inside section, but he stays with it because I think he realizes it's going to grow here, so he can make up on this inside section. Nice snap there, but had to chase it, and then gets around here and the wave flattens out again, and he had to carve through it. Nice work to stay with it, but that section really didn't cooperate. Similar there, where he got a little hiccup, and then the bottom turn hiccup got late to that one and went down. So, you know, it's going to be probably in the good range, but I feel like, again, when you look at what's happened today, especially those title contenders, you got to be putting big numbers up there. And so that 617 that he just received, got to wipe that away and get up there back in the nines.
Yeah, the sloppy finish kind of pulled that score down a little bit, but a 617, it does put Jack Freestone into combination, chasing a two-wave total of 15.05 with just under 23 minutes to go. Jack doesn't have to panic just yet, because we've just seen a heat turned around in the final stages. And for all the money in the world, it seemed like Italo Ferreira was in control, but Michelle Perez turned it in the final stages. Michelle is with Rosie.
Well, Michelle Perez, it's no surprise to see you make it through that heat, but the last 5 minutes, I mean, so exciting. You guys just getting exchange after exchange. How stressful was it?
It was really stressful. I made so many mistakes. Like my wave selection wasn't in point. Just because the waves are so pumping, like you just want to surf, you just want to catch all the waves, you know? And at the end, I forgot that pretty much that I was in a heat. So I just told myself to calm down, you know, and just to wait for those ones where it wasn't going fast, just those slow ones. And that worked out at the end.
And it's been, you know, the first time today that we've seen someone take control like Italo. He had the lead from the beginning. It's the first time that we've actually seen that change and you get the win. I mean, how important was it to keep your composure when the pressure was on you?
Oh, I wasn't feeling that stressful out there. I was just like trying to understand my body, you know, like the way you react when the swell is pumping like that. And as I said before, like I only need to calm myself down and just to focus more and go back to the competitor mode. And I knew if I had one more chance, like I would have get the score, you know, because when you put yourself in that like focus and you know, like you can do whatever it takes to win. Yeah.
And the waves are pumping. How do you motivate for round 4?
I'm super tired right now. I'm gonna have so many fruits and some juice and some water and just to I'm still pumped. It's pumping out there, and I hope like it's gonna get better so we can get some barrels.
Well done, Michelle. We'll see you in round 4.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rosie. Michelle Perez feeling the burn after a busy heat, a lot of waves ridden, and he's got to reset for the 4th round, which we should be seeing go down this afternoon. Just under 20 minutes to go when Jack Freestone during that interview had a wave, Pete, but it was a little bit of a sleepy ride, wasn't it?
It was, and you know, we've got that tide moving out, so that outside section is not going to have as much water. It's breaking in shallower water, so it's going to have a less steep face. You got to choose the right wave that's going to be a little bit more loaded up on that outside section. This one had to, you know, just transition across the kind of flatter sections, and then finally he starts to see it turn the corner. This is where it gets into that deeper water. It bends back at him, and then there, that little tuck underneath, it felt like he wanted to tag the lip there. In my eyes, I was looking at it going, oh, he's going to tag it, and then he just kind of pulled underneath. So again, just cruising, but this section here, look at this. I mean, a long, deep, impossible section, and of course it shuts down on him, unfortunately. Not able to doggy door out the bottom, so another pretty average score for Jack Freestone.
A 4.5 for Freestone, so well short of the required number. It's a great combination. Had he made that tube at the end of that wave, he certainly would have got it done. But we got some big round 4 clashes coming up next. An all goofy-footed affair to decide our first quarter-finalist here at the Corona Open this year in the first heat of round 4. Heat 2. The most successful surfer here at JBay that's left in the draw. Taking on John Florence and Frederico Moraes. I'm talking about Mick Fanning. Heat 3 is heavily stacked. All our competitors that have collected 10-point rides in the contest meeting in the 3rd heat of round 4. And currently on the lookout for our last surfer to progress through to the 4th round. And the winner of this one will take on Connor Coffin and Michelle Perez in heat 4 of round 4.
You know, happy that conditions are holding. I mean, the swell still, maybe even increasing, you know, through today. I mean, it's just going to be non-stop. I mean, very consistent. We've had lulls, but haven't lasted very long. So plenty of opportunity for the two surfers when they're in the water.
Bit of a throwback day of competition for Matt Wilkinson. He can call on some good memories from 2014. Good sized waves that year, and it just allowed Matt to open up, and he got his best result ever here that season. Made the semi-finals. I think the increase in swell,
it beat Slater too, right?
Gives Matt a bit of an advantage over Jack Freestone here, because it's just a better pace on your back end to get your board vertical.
Yeah, as I recall, in that season, he had 2 heats with Slater where he was able to take him down. You know, and that was a big heat, especially here at JBay, considering the conditions were really good. And you would definitely put the advantage on Slater in that clash, and Wilco came out on top. Got the pendulum in and just started whacking away on that inside section, and he really did it in a great performance in dominating fashion.
16.5 minutes remaining here. And some lines rolling around the corner. Matt Wilkinson in position, having a look at this one. But kicks out after getting a good look down the line. Freestone needs to get himself a 5.05 just to have a shot at turning this heat at the moment, but he'll be chasing something a lot bigger. He's still got time to get the job done with 2 rides. Here goes Wilco. Strong first turn. Banks off the bottom. A risky move there, getting his board vertical, getting tangled up in the lip with all that wind blowing. Easy to get caught behind, but he sticks with it. And now starts to load up a highline trim to set up this inside section. Drives up into the pocket, pushes that board right around. More of a vertical approach there, and just stabs the fins through the top of the wave. A solid finish. That should get rid of the 617.
I would agree, you know, and I love the patience he had. He got that strong first turn outside, knowing how important it was, and then that risky move where he went straight up vertical.
Here goes Freestone. A clean wall and an equally clean slice to get started. Again, hooks off the top. Changing his approach now, leaning hard on the back foot. This will be Jack's best wave. He's tucked into the barrel and squeaks out through the bottom of the curtain. A good-looking wave and really linking well on this one. Punching through on the closeout. A great exchange on the 15-minute mark.
Really like Jack's turnaround here in this heat. That's exactly what he needed to do. That wave's going to go into the excellent range. He now is matched, most likely the 8.87 of Matt Wilkinson. Very important, and still has time to make that turnaround. So another good heat. We didn't see really anybody run away and make a very, except for John's heat, where he was pretty dominating performance. Everyone else has been right in the mix each and every heat. So good wave choice here. Third wave of the set, but it's a little bit bigger again, so it goes outside of the whitewater line of Wilco's wave. And these carves were on point, really holding the rail through it, putting the water into the wind, and then the barrel barely squeaks underneath, so made it kind of late, so he's super deep in the section and then was able to squirt out the bottom and then managed to get a few more turns through that inside section. So he finished with several maneuvers and the barrel. As we take a look at the outside section for Wilco, 2 snaps on the outside. Again, his wave choice here, knowing that it's going to turn and bend onto the reef on the inside section. Getting the turns on the outside and then a little quiet moment, but here carrying a ton of speed. That big highline approach, carrying all that speed into this next section. Accentuates that turn by carving through it and then snapping into it, and then that final move was money.
Really solid, this exchange, and interested to see what Jack posts, because he had 3 big turns on the outside, all executed with a lot of speed, plenty of aggression, and quite a bit of variety too.
I just like that he was able to make that choice of the wave that he was looking for again. Like, you have all these options that you're going to be given in a heat, and he knows where he's going to perform best. That wave that was going to slow up, you could see it pretty distinctly. He was going to get the 2 turns on the outside, but then he knew it was going to load up nicely right there and finish right in the keyhole. And then executing, you've got to make it happen, and he did that.
Well, the competitors are being spoiled by choice at the moment. There's such consistency in the set waves. They're not just 2-wave sets. There's quite a few in them.
Well, it probably makes it a little more challenging. I mean, if you talk
for sure
throughout every interview, they're talking about how and what wave to choose. It's been a challenge for them.
And Jack, in the first round, really when you're in a 3-man heat, it's the rhythm that you get into, and you're in that rhythm with the other surfers in the water, and you just don't get that much opportunity in a heat with 3 surfers in the lineup. Once you're in the water with just one other competitor, it's really difficult to pick those waves. And well, Jack, he's adjusted well here. He's dropped to 7.97, so he's back in it. 7.97. A couple of judges going into the excellent range. Matt Wilkinson, he put up a 7.67. So Freestone at the moment in second spot, and he is chasing an 8.58 to get into the lead as we start to get excited, looking forward to the first heat of round 4.
Takes on Nick Fanning and John Flores, folks.
Welcome back to the Corona Open here at Jeffreys Bay. As you can see, there's been some big shake-ups on the leaderboard. After Fiji, a lot of movement on the ratings, and here at Jeffreys we're going to see even more because there has been 5 surfers from the top 10 falling out of the mix. Michelle Perez, Julian Wilson, they look like they're going to keep moving up the ladder, Pete. And, well, some surfers are on the right side there. They're going to keep falling down that leaderboard.
With that Fiji shakeup, you see what it's really done is tighten the gap in that top 10 picture. It's made it so a lot of these surfers now, no one's really kind of running away with it. I love that there's the 5 contenders that are, you know, within just 500 points of each other. And then even just outside of that, you got guys like Parko, unfortunately, not able to get through his heat. So it would have been nice to see him kind of start to make a title contention run if he had been able to get through a few more heats. But it's over now there. We'll be talking about those top 5.
Joel has been ultra consistent, though. It's just his second early round loss this season. The other one came at Margaret River, but 2 13s. He will be hanging on to a 9th now, but he's going to be okay. He's still right up there at the pointy end of the ladder.
It's so much experience in all of the venues. You know, a former pike master. You know, Tahiti's done well.
Here we go, freestone up. Again, throwing everything in that first turn, just sliding across the lip. So chasing an 8.58 and really looks like he's going to start throwing some risk into these turns. A clean hit there, needs more. Trying to set up the inside, tucks into the barrel for a moment. Is he still in there? Can't see him.
I think at that point he was trying to get as much as he could out of that barrel by stalling and put him too high in the lip.
Matt Wilkinson now. He gets an opportunity. He's trying to improve on a 7.67. I think just considering how much time he spent racing that wave, he decided to throw everything into that first move. If it came off, it would have been great. He maybe would have bashed that wave further down the line, but falling, it wasn't much of an issue because he will win the race back to priority.
I haven't seen much in that tail release, kind of into reverse. Let's take a look here first at Jack Freestone. This one getting some release, sliding through it. Somehow maintains control, and he really didn't look like he was out of control with that release. He was able to glide with it freely. But again, when you do that kind of thing and you lose those fins, you have to gain your speed back up, and it takes away from the flow, and I think that's going to affect the score here. And then, of course, the fall at the end sets up the barrel, but trying to, I don't even think he was trying to stall. He just got put up into the lip, got sucked over.
So 6.5 minutes to go, and Freestone's last ride, not going to play into this heat. It's going to be in the 5-point range. It's a 5.5. So still on the lookout for a big, excellent number, an 8.58. His results this year, pretty disappointing really for Jack. He has been surfing great, but falling out of the mix in the second round most of the time. But that one impressive result at Margaret River in sizey conditions. And I think that was actually a real positive for him because, you know, he's collected a second place finish in small beach breaks before, but to get a big result like that on a very difficult wave in big surf, it says a lot about just how much his surfing's improving.
For sure. I mean, even in Hawaii too, he's been able to put together good heats and, you know, look impressive in the free surfs over there. So he has been turning it around in that bigger surf. Always good in the beach breaks. You know, his best results coming there. But now, yeah, the big reef breaks too. He's just got to find some consistency. It's really what it's about now, especially on this tour, is all the venues are all important. He really wants to be, you know, a surfer going for that world title, which is obviously the goal once you get here. That consistency plays a major key role.
So 5 minutes to go here. And Matt Wilkinson on his first wave, just really locked into some form. He'd been talking to friends saying that he hadn't really been putting it together in his free surfs. That was definitely the case in his first couple of heats. But Geordie Smith was kind of similar. You know, Geordie, we always expect to see him win those first round efforts, and he had to fight his way through the second round. It just didn't look that sharp, but it all came together today.
It sure did. You know, it really hasn't put in a lot of time in those free surfs. There's been surfers that have been putting in hours upon hours, and Jordy just doing quick little hits, making sure that his boards are what he wants them to feel like. I think saving energy and knowing that really you're going to have a very physically demanding event, and to put in all that time in the water, you know, you get fatigued. This is not the Tour de France where you're going to be 2 weeks of power surfing the entire time. This is, you know, you got to put it on in your 30-minute heat, put everything into it, almost like a sprint. I mean, yeah, there is several rounds, but you really do all the math. You know, it's 4.5 hours, 5 hours of surfing total, and you got to put 110% into those 5 hours if you're going to get to be the champion.
Matt Wilkinson looking over his shoulder at the moment because a bit of an insider here, and Freestone's going to elect to go. It's a pretty decent looking wall. He needs to get going, pulls into the barrel to get started, building up some speed, trying to drive around this whitewater section. He does that. Needs a huge finish here, and you can see the disappointment there, the wave not really cooperating. So wave selection pretty solid from Wilco there, and he gets his opportunity on the next wave. He gets caught behind 3 minutes to go.
Well, that set did not break on the outside section. It moved to the inside, so they chased it down, and when all that water loads up, it runs really quickly. And that's what happened to Jack. I mean, I was very surprised even after that barrel, he was able to get around that section, but then it loaded up one more time through that impossible section and just went too fast. Same thing happened to Matt Wilkinson, so 2 throwaway scores. You know, maybe in a slight improvement for Freestone with that 5.5 because of the barrel on the outside. I mean, he pulled right in, wasn't super deep. I mean, he really needed a bit more from this wave. I mean, that section there, I don't know how he was able to keep all that speed, but he does. Quick transition in and out of that move and looking for the barrel again, but it doesn't happen. Ends up having to kick out.
Their first head-to-head heat. Seen a lot of that today. It's been good. A bit of a shift up after Fiji means that the seeding is a little different for this contest, and we're seeing some first-time matchups. This one's been pretty solid for Matt Wilkinson.
Beautiful turn there. Connects with that second, but just too fast. You know, and again, when that set moves down the point like that, those waves are going to move really quickly. You want the ones that'll kind of cap on that outer corner right in front of Sharon's place, right in the house out there, and that's your kind of lineup. And then you know that's going to have a pretty good pace through the inside. Again, wave choice is everything, isn't it?
So crucial. Especially when the waves are so good. You know, almost every medium-sized set and the big ones that rolls around just looks like the best wave you've ever seen. So you've got to have a really good look at it. You've got to start thinking, is there major scoring potential from the top right through to the bottom? Am I going to spend most of the time racing and then have to make up those points in a short amount of space on the inside? Jack on the inside, taking another shot. Had a real clean runner, locked in for a long period of time, but it's an impossible exit. He goes down. 45 seconds to go. It looks like Matt Wilkinson is going to stay on pace with the other title contenders here.
Sure is. Going to have another heat today, another important heat. The end of the day, last heat of the day. Surf smart. You know, that very first wave really set the tone for the heat. Relaxed him, gave him the opportunity to utilize that priority. I mean, even the wave choice you're talking about when you're having to choose that wave, you have to know what's going on in the heat. You know, what your competitor's at, where the priority is. I mean, if you take a wave, is it really going to truly improve? And it's probably stronger to even just let it go, even though it may have an 8-point potential on it, to let it go just to hold that priority and keep that power position, especially if your other competitor's not even near the lineup.
Another round in the bag here at the Corona Open, and still wearing the yellow jersey is Matt Wilkinson. Through to the 4th round. He'll take on Connor Coffin and Michel Perez in Heat 4 later on this afternoon. a solid heat score total. Jack Freestone, he's going to be chasing a big finish at the next stop over in Tahiti. Well, stay with us because after the break, Jean Deroux, Gabriel Medina and Owen Wright will hit the lineup in the first heat of round 4.